How are you feeling? How long have you been here?
3 months, May 17th.
And what brought you?
That's difficult to answer.
Eventually resulted in your being here in the hospital.
That's difficult to answer.
this the end? There's a noise inside my head of crying people facing death. Is this the end? Is this the end? Oh, I'm burning in the stone. There's no place to hide. I'm burning in the stone. This is the final time. What have we done to the world? What have we done to the world? I'm burning in the stone. There's no place to hide. I'm burning in the stone. This is the final sweet dreams are made of these. Who am I to disagree? Travel the world and the seven seas. Everybody's looking for something. Some of them want to use you. Some of them want to get used by you. Some of them want to use you. Some of them want to be out you.
Who the fuck is Karlyn? She's just some sweet lady. She's like in a knitting. She does like a knitting stream. She's like a knitting YouTuber. She does knitting.
Can we grow up a little bit and
Alt
not
Girl
be
sent $200.
retarded?
Have you
Please.
seen the work of Karlyn Borysenko? Anti-commie cult leader and is obsessed with looking at what actual far-left communists are talking about and organizing today, infiltrating them. They infiltrated the universities, schools, media. She has the receipts to back it up. Primary source evidence. Infestation is dire and she calls Republicans idiots eating slop. Agree.
Thank you for the big super chat. Yeah, oh, I know Karlyn B. She's solid. She's funny. I
The
like
great
her.
noticer sent $200.
And lastly, we ask that there be no recording or streaming of today's sessions from the floor. And any disruptive behavior in today's session will result in being removed from the call.
We please ask that there will be no recording or streaming of today's sessions from the floor. Any disruptive behavior today could result in being removed from the call. So, just be a nice person. So with the little housekeeping things out of the way, let's jump right in.
Again, we ask no recording or streaming of today's session.
We ask that be no recording or streaming of today's session from the floor. Any disruptive behavior in today's session will result in being removed from the call.
What up, everyone? What up? Happy Monday. I hope you guys are all doing well. Guys, there is so much content that we need to cover on the internet. The amount of leftist content that we need to cover is so immense. That last night I was forced to make a spreadsheet. Now listen, Reagan is usually in charge of all the spreadsheets in the community because I don't like spreadsheets. I rarely use spreadsheet. You basically have to put a gun to my head to make me use a spreadsheet. But there is so much content that we need to cover that I was forced into a position last night of making a spreadsheet to keep track of all of the different content that we have to cover. And it's like we are not gonna be at a loss of leftist things to talk about. And so I'm kind of in a really good position, right? Yeah, well, none of them have to do with boobs, okay? None of them have to do with boobs. And so I'm kind of in this position where, we get to pick and choose what content we're going to look at based on what might be the most timely content of any given time. And today, I think that maybe the most timely thing that we can look at, right now is the National Lawyers Guild. Because the National Lawyers Guild are Antifa's lawyers. So for those of you who watch protest coverage with me over the weekend, you may have seen that that there were people wearing green hats outside all of the protests with Antifa. And those people are part of what is called the National Lawyers Guild. They are legal observers who go to these protests for when people get arrested, because basically what happens with Antifa, they train people on how to get arrested. People volunteer to get arrested. People are trained on how to get arrested. They know they're going to get arrested going into it, or they've got a pretty good idea that they might get arrested going into it. And because they volunteer and they get trained to do it, they basically have their legal costs and their bail costs covered so that they get arrested, and then all of the people in Antifa go down to the jail and they all bail them out at the same time, and then they get their lawyers taken care of. And one of the places they get their lawyers taken care of, though not the only place, but it certainly is one of the most prominent, is the National Lawyers Guild. Thank you, Nick. Reagan is the COO for a reason. Yeah, that's right. Reagan is the chief organizational officer of the cult. That's right. Reagan is in charge of all spreadsheets. I broke ranks last night and I created my own spreadsheet outside of the official protocol, but everyone's just going to have to survive. So the National Lawyers Guild is an organization that we want to get to know a little bit because, listen, if they're going to be involved in all this legal stuff with Antifa, we probably have to know who they are. And for my money, really the only way that Trump can actually take away Antifa's funding, because we all know that every conservative retard who says Antifa is funded by George Soros, they're all full of shit. They don't know what they're talking about. Antifa is absolutely not funded by George Soros. That is such garbage. If you hear anyone saying that Antifa is funded by George Soros, you need to stop listening to that person unless you want to be lied to over and over and over again. We have just got to start telling conservatives who don't want to listen, no. That's my new thing lately. I've had it. I've had it with conservatives, because they're always conservatives, by the way. I've had it with conservatives who don't want to listen. If you're a conservative and you want to listen, welcome. We love you. I have no issue with conservatives who want to listen, but conservatives who want to scream Soros, 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 I want nothing to do with you. Shut the fuck up. Go away. Sit down. Try not to break anything. Like we need to start being more militant with these people and telling them no. Because quite frankly, these people, in their Dunning-Kruger ignorance, are spreading a ton of misinformation. It's confusing to everyone. It's annoying. It needs to stop. Anyway, I digress. Antifa, for their direct actions, are funded almost entirely, basically entirely, by mutual aid. Mutual aid means small donations in cash and products, or other things like items, okay? However, it is true that the National Lawyers Guild is absolutely providing Antifa with complimentary, pro bono, whatever, legal services. And so I do think that probably the most effective thing that the Trump administration can do in order to cut off any funding to Antifa at all is to go after the National Lawyers Guild and however they are funded. Now, I don't know exactly how that is because this is an organization, I'm going to be honest, that I haven't paid a whole ton of attention to. Not that I didn't know they existed, but that there's so much to do on the left, it just hasn't been the main focus of my priority. But we do need to start learning about them. And what I've learned about the National Lawyers Guild in the past, several days is essentially they are absolutely a far left organization. They want complete prison abolition. So they want abolish the police, abolish prisons. And they have members in very prominent positions all over the country, like prosecutor positions. Like these are prosecuting attorneys for major cities that are part of the National Lawyers Guild. And so it's kind of like, this is actually maybe a crazy little rabbit hole. So last night we found the Vimeo channel for the National Lawyers Guild. Now, Vimeo, if people are looking for leftist content, Vimeo is like a happy hunting ground of leftist content. Because for some reason, Vimeo just happens to be one of those places where we find some of the craziest leftist shit, and it's almost never on YouTube. It's just on Vimeo. So Vimeo is a great place to actually just look for leftist content. So we found the Vimeo channel of the National Lawyers Guild. Also, this is right on their website, honestly. And wouldn't you know it? But a couple of years ago, the National Lawyers Guild did a training that is still live on their website to this day called Know Your Rights for Protesters. So I don't know, man. I think this might just be a really relevant thing to watch. If the National Lawyers Guild are out there in the green hats right now at all of the protests, they're basically keeping an eye on the situation. They're the ones that are providing a lot of the legal services to Antifa. And they have a whole presentation about know your rights for protesters. Seems relevant. So we are going to watch this presentation today, and we're going to learn what the National Lawyers Guild is telling people about what their rights are as protesters. Protesters, we're using the term protesters rather loosely because they really mean kind of like rioters, probably. But if they want to say protesters, fine. So we are going to watch this today, and we're going to find out what they have to say so we can hear it directly from their mouth. And I think it's going to be awesome. So that's one of the things we're going to do. Now, before we get into that, I do want to do something else, though, because I want to show you guys, this is another example of basically the Trump administration completely dropping the ball. And I have so much I want to say about the fact that there were almost no arrests at the protests over the weekend. This is one of the things, how many hearings have we had about anti-Semitism, 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 anti-Semitism? The entire Department of Education right now is basically dedicated to fighting anti-Semitism on college campuses. There have been 0 hearings about communist organizing in higher education. There have been 0 hearings about the political organizing activities of the unions. And in fact, when Antifa is publishing in the open about what they're going to do in this country, when Antifa is publishing openly about attacking ICE facilities, calling for other people to attack ICE facilities, it kind of seems as though the Trump administration isn't even paying attention. They just completely goes over their head. I did a live stream on my Substack. I uploaded it to YouTube yesterday, but I did this live stream, I think, on Friday, where people on my channel were 3 days ahead of people in the White House on knowing what Antifa was doing. That's just clocked. This is just fact. We knew they were going to attack the Broadview ICE facility outside of Chicago 3 full effing days before the White House even got around to looking at it. And I've had a lot of comments on my YouTube channel saying, Karlyn, you don't really think you knew before the White House, do you? Because do you think that Trump needs to tell you everything? Okay, conservatives, conservative retards. So what you're telling me is then that the Trump administration knew that Antifa was going to attack the Broadview ICE detention center outside of Chicago, and they did nothing about it. Which is worse? I don't even know which is worse. Did the Trump administration have no clue this was coming at all, and that's why they didn't do anything about it? Or did the Trump administration know exactly what they were doing and they still did nothing about it? Which do you want? Because there were basically no arrests outside of Chicago on Saturday. There was basically no arrests in Portland last night. We're going to do Portland coverage later tonight. But like the fact that the Trump administration is doing this big PR push to say, we declared Antifa a domestic terrorist organization and we are going to take care of it. And we're calling out the National Guard and all this shit. And then they do nothing. They do nothing. And if you actually watch the coverage from Portland last night, and we're going to watch it later. I know people wanted me to stream last night, but I had other things I needed to do. So we're going to watch some coverage of Portland from last night, and you're going to see the police showed up, arrested one person, and ran away. And it was just allowed to continue. And the Trump administration, how many days ago did the Trump administration say they were calling out the National Guard and the military on Portland? Because I've been hearing that for at least a week now. So where the ever-loving F were they? Where were they? Why was only one person arrested? Why does the Trump administration seem to be completely behind the 8 ball regarding what Antifa is doing? It's disgusting. It's disgusting behavior, and they should be embarrassed. So one of the things I want to do is I want to show you guys flat out before we get into the main video today. I want to show you guys that Antifa was publishing what they're going to do on websites days before they did it. And no one in the Trump administration even bothered to look. So as a little pregame, as people are still filing into the stream, I just want to read this article. And this is a really short article, and we're going to have the screen reader read it, so I don't have to read the whole thing. I'll make it bigger so everyone can see it. This is an article that appeared on anarchistnews.org, which is an anarchist website, called A Call for Anarchist Action in America. This article was published 6 days ago, September 23rd, 2025. Let's see what this article actually says.
A call for anarchist action. Once upon a time, thousands of anarchists, amongst many others, took over the streets. On September 17th, 2011, the first Occupy
Putting this
protest,
in the chat so you guys
also
have the
known
link.
as Occupy Wall Street, to receive widespread attention was in Zuccotti Park, Lower Manhattan. By October 9th, Occupy protests had taken place or were ongoing in over 951 cities across 82 countries, although the movement became most active in the United States.
Hang on. I want to try to make this a little bit nicer for us to actually see. I want to try to make this a little bit nicer. Oh gosh, now the whole thing is just messed up. I messed it up. Okay.
A call for anarchist action in America.
We're back here.
By October 9th, Occupy protests had taken place or were ongoing in over 951 cities across 82 countries, although the movement became most active in the United States. By October 2011, Occupy protests and occupations had started in dozens of other countries across every widely inhabited continent. While some Occupy encampments encouraged nonviolent resistance, many others carried out attacks on banks, corporations, and police. On October 25th, 2011, Oakland police attempted to forcibly remove Occupy Oakland, which led to violent clashes. After 2 months of street battles across the states, police had finally cleared most of the major camps, with the last remaining sites in Washington, D.C. being evicted in mid-February 2012.
Okay, I just want to pause there. The anarchists are setting this up to say, look at what happened at Occupy Wall Street, as if to say, we're going to try to do exactly the same thing again now. And here is the thing that we're comparing it to give people an idea of what to expect now. Okay, does everyone get that?
After 2 months of street battles across the states, police had finally cleared most of the major camps, with the last remaining sites in Washington, D.C. being evicted in mid-February 2012. Since the rise and fall of the Occupy movement, life in America and around the globe has only gotten worse. Minus 2015 to 2024 was the warmest decade recorded, with global average temperature reaching 1.55 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels in 2024. Human-induced global warming is presently increasing at a rate of 0.25 degrees Celsius per decade. An increase of 2 degrees Celsius compared to the temperature in pre-industrial times is associated with serious negative impacts on the natural environment and human health and well-being, including a much higher risk that dangerous and possibly catastrophic changes in the global environment will occur. HTTPS. Climate EC. Access to food and healthcare are being restricted in the United States. From the overturn of Roe v. Wade in 2022 and the series of executive orders targeting protections for trans and gender nonconforming individuals to increase stringency of food stamp eligibility. The average rent in the United States rose from $810 in 2007 to $1,650, while the median household income rose from $50,233 to $62,192, meaning that the average household went from paying 19% of their annual income to rent in 2007 to 31% in 2025. In 2007, 319,382 individuals were deported from the United States. As of August 2025, 332,000 individuals have been deported, many without due process. The U.S. is on course to surpass all previous numbers by the end of the year. Additionally, the U.S. has halted asylum hearings, HTT, and currently detains individuals awaiting a determination on their immigration, HTTPS. www. The Overton window continues to shift increasingly rightward over the last several decades, including but not limited to an increased acceptance of human rights violations when applied to immigrants, unhoused people, people of color, etc., an increased acceptance of extreme right, white supremacist, and neo-fascist ideologies, increased support for privatization or elimination of social programs, such as food stamps, Social Security, public schooling, etc., a swing towards traditional values, e.g. prenatalism, patriarchy, economic eugenics, etc. As of July 2025, there are around 118 white nationalist groups operating in the United States. This number is down from previous years, but not because white supremacists have changed their views. This decrease reflects a reality in which white supremacist ideas have become more mainstream, making it tactically effective for hate groups to simply merge with the governing body of America.
Okay. So they started off the article saying, here's what happened during Occupy Wall Street. The midsection of the article is like laying the groundwork. It's like saying, here are all the ways in which capitalism is failing society. So it's saying, we did this really cool thing in Occupy Wall Street in which no one really stopped us until months after we started doing it. And oh, look at all the material conditions in which capitalism is failing us. And now that they've set up the scenario that the anarchists, Antifa, believe that we're working in, now they're going to go into the call to action.
This decrease reflects. So, what better place than here? What better time than now? Since many of us already know that there's no safety in getting old, our anarchy doesn't surrender to the walking corpse of time. Whether it's 2011 or 2025, we continue to find ourselves oppressed by the same capitalism and the same statism, but with an advanced technological advantage weaponized by state power.
We continue to find ourselves oppressed by the same capitalism and the same statism. Remember, Antifa believes that capitalism and the state, the government, the United States are inextricably linked because they believe the United States government and the Constitution were grounded in capitalism.
Emboldened by Trump's second presidency, those in positions of power will prefer us all to remain confined to victimhood, preoccupied with trying to afford rent and submerged in social media drama. The president himself could only hope that we drown ourselves in apathetic depression and self-destruction.
And here it is.
What is anarchy if not a refusal to comply? An attack on institutions of power? Or an exploration into becoming ungovernable, even if only for the simple adventure of breaking out of mind-numbing routines? to channel hopelessness into a frenzy of outbursts, illegal street raves, nocturnal smash and grabs, or spontaneous attacks on institutions across America could be more fun than simply spending what's left of our lives complaining about how bad things are. Every fist that hurls a piece of concrete through a bank or an IC agent's car window has the potential to ignite a wildfire.
Okay, I want to stop there. So people have been asking me, Karlyn, what does Antifa hope to achieve by protesting outside of ICE facilities? Every fist that hurls a piece of concrete through a bank or an ICE agent's car window has the potential to ignite a wildfire. They are trying to ignite the spark of the revolution. That is what they're trying to do.
Every fist that hurls a piece of concrete through a bank or an IC agent's car window has the potential to ignite a wildfire. At this point, what's left to lose? The only life we've been permitted to have is a portfolio of experiences celebrating our dedicated submission. For some of us, chaos and destruction are the only activities in which we experience life as liberated creativity. Our desire to destroy
Chaos and destruction are the only activities in which we experience life as liberated creativity. Creativity outside of capitalism, creating a world apart from capitalism.
Our desire to destroy what destroys us is an art form that can't be bought by better wages or government reforms. We don't need the divinity or guidance of a new future, a progressive politician, or an organization. With the ammunition of love and rage, we reclaim our lives with every momentary rupture against a world that can never be voted away.
Against a world that can never be voted away. Antifa does not believe in elections. Antifa does not run for political office. They are not the same as the Democratic Socialists of America. They believe that they are fighting against a world that can never be voted away. And here's the last paragraph.
We invite all anarchists across the country not only to occupy and disrupt operations at IC facilities in every city, but to celebrate life with fire against the death march of American law and order. With tactical diversity, let's meet in the streets and wage a carnival of war against IC and all authority.
So that's pretty on the nose, isn't it? I know it takes them a minute to get there because communists write in very flowery language. This is what you have to get used to if you want to understand socialists and communists. But let's just read that last paragraph again, because that's really the call to action in this whole thing. We invite all anarchists across the country not only to occupy and disrupt operations at ICE facilities in every city, but to celebrate life with fire against the death march of American law and order. That means set police cars and buildings on fire. With tactical diversity, let's meet in the streets and wage a carnival of war against ICE and all authority. So you're telling me that 6 days ago, on a very prominent anarchist website that the Trump administration or minimally someone in the FBI should absolutely be reading, they released a massive call to action telling people, attack ICE facilities, wage a war, wage a carnival of fire. And the Trump administration did nothing. They did nothing. There was no National Guard outside the Broadview facility in Chicago. There was no National Guard in Portland last night. There were barely any arrests. They've already declared Antifa a terrorist organization. Okay, so you're telling me that you're allowing terrorists to literally gather outside of ICE facilities to attack them, and you're still not doing anything? Guys, I'm sorry. The National Guard should have already been at all the ICE facilities over the weekend, and this shouldn't even be controversial. Like, I can get on a plane and I am in New Hampshire. I can get on a plane and be in Portland, Oregon in about 6 to 8 hours, depending. Why is it impossible that the Trump administration knew about all this stuff a week ago and they still did nothing? And if you think I told you that anarchists aren't Antifa, then you're too retarded to be in my audience. I thought you told us that most of these people aren't Antifa. We are on an anarchist website right now reading anarchist material, Antifa are anarchists. Conservatives trying to own me because they didn't get the answer that they liked, and they're going, oh, I thought you said this, because they're trying to feel like they got one over on me because I won't tell them what they want to hear. So, do I think that Trump is going to do anything to stop Antifa and to stop the violence and to stop the rioting that is going to continue to ensue outside ICE facilities all over the country? No. No, I don't think they're going to do anything. I don't think they have any handle on this at all. Not in any way. I think they aren't even paying the minimal of attention to the things that Antifa is publishing publicly on the internet, because if they were, they would have known this information ahead of this weekend. And I promise you they didn't, because Stephen Miller started announcing stuff over the weekend, which tells me that he only found out about it over the weekend, whereas we found out about it several days prior because we actually pay attention to what anarchists are publishing on the internet. So do better, Trump administration. Do better. Because right now, I am absolutely not impressed. Do you think someone in the Trump administration is in on this? No, I just think the Trump administration is incompetent. I think the FBI is incompetent. I think Trump's advisors don't know what the fuck they're talking about. I think just like most conservatives, they think they know everything about the left when in fact they know nothing about the left because they never bothered to actually study their enemy. I think they know nothing. And this is why, guys, people ask me all the time. They say, Karlyn, what do we do? What do we do to fight the left? What do we do to fight the left? And I say, the first thing you have to do is sit your ass down and learn about the enemy you're fighting. If you are unwilling to unlearn all the bullshit talking points that you have been told, if you are unwilling to sit down and actually listen to the real far left, if you are unwilling to do these things, there is nothing that I can give you to do, because you're just going to keep screwing it up over and over and over and over and over again. The reason that Trump is screwing this up is he has no clue about Antifa. They have no clue. Pam Bondi has no clue. Kash Patel has no clue. And I'm not even convinced that anyone working for them has any clue. And I'm not just saying this because they didn't do anything over the weekend. I'm saying this because I know people in government. And everything that I have heard from people that would, quite frankly, know better than I would, every single thing that I've heard tells me the Trump administration doesn't know what the F is going on because they never bothered to learn and study their enemy. So that's what we do on this channel, guys. We learn about our enemy. We study our enemy. We know what our enemy is saying. We know what our enemy is doing. All of the information that we get comes directly from the left. There is no filter. There is no narrator. There is no middleman. There are no clips taken out of context. We watch the full content on this channel, and that is what we're doing. I did have a couple super chats come in. I want to make sure we get those. Occupied's World, thank you for becoming a YouTube channel member. ADR, thank you for becoming a YouTube channel member. Appreciate it. Yup, we got your super chat. Thank you. Thank you. Trendlin says, I keep trying to EDU Andrew Wilson, but he won't listen. He thinks he knows it. Oh, Andrew Wilson is a massive pussy that doesn't understand half of the things that he thinks he knows. And so, I don't know, Trendlin, if you want to keep messing around with Andrew Wilson, go ahead, I guess. But, like, I think Andrew Wilson is a massive pussy that would sooner shoot himself in the foot than ever listen to anything I have to say, because I'm about 1,000 times smarter than him, and Andrew Wilson knows that. Narif2, Karlyn Borysenko is about to go through that Beyond a Binary God book I DM'd you. Awesome. Awesome. We'll look forward to Borysenko's analysis on that. Guys, we're going to get into the video, but if you want to support the work I'm doing and keep me in business, please make sure you are subscribed to my Substack. That is Karlyn, KARLYN.substack.com. If you are new to my work, I published a helpful primer just last night. It's called New to My Work, Start Here. And so if you want to get a quick start guide to my work, that is the very best place to start. Average person, you got your merch. Hope to see you next month. I'm trying. I'm still planning the West Coast trip, guys. I'm trying. Just like give me a second, okay? Andre, I agree for some reason. I remember even back on 9/11, every Republican panicked and were in shock about the enemy. Yep. They never know anything. They never know anything at all in any way. So guys, please make sure you are subscribed to the Substack. Substack is also the very best place to support the work I'm doing. Thank you, Mr. Gurr, for the super chat. I think I saw another super chat from you. I did. There we go. There we go. Mr. Gurr in with the 2 super chats. Apologies for not showing the last one. Another place you can support my work, guys, is in the Red Menace Supply Company. That is redmenacesupply.com. And we got a couple things that are still on sale for the next couple days. We have got 2 new designs in the store. Per usual, the tradition in the store is that when I launch a new design in the store, all merchandise with that design is 25% off for the first week. So we've got the Antifa design. We also have the Your Teachers Are Lying to You design. I like the Antifa one myself. You can get the t-shirts in different colors. You can get them in gold. You can get them in red. You can get them in this lighter color. You can get them in black because, of course, black is the very best, I think. Just saying. Got some bags, got some stickers, got some other stuff too. We've also got this awesome kind of like 80s techno Your Teachers Are Lying to You design, which I really like. And it looks sweet. So check out that merch in the Red Menace Supply Company. You can also get the limited edition coffee for a couple more days. And we've also got all sorts of other great designs in the store as well. I will be launching the special Halloween collection, hopefully on Wednesday. We do a special limited edition Halloween collection. And so we'll be able to have our Halloween shirts then. Yep, we hit 117,000 subscribers last night. Welcome all new subscribers to the channel. Now, we do have some time constraints, guys, because I do want to, that's going to be tomorrow. I do want to do a programming note. After our stream tonight, I'm going to take a little break, like a teeny tiny little break. I am going to go live again tonight to look at some of the coverage from Portland last night that I didn't watch. So I know a lot of you wanted me to stream the live coverage last night. I understand why, but I'm pretty militant about taking Sundays off, to be honest. Like, unless it's like a true emergency. I did movie night with my community last night in the Discord, and I was just really tired. I only get 1 day off a week. So I apologize for not doing live coverage last night, but I actually do want to go back and watch some of the Portland coverage. I have friends that are actually recording on the ground in Portland, and so I want to go back and watch their coverage and see what we can learn from it. So if you want to catch up on what happened last night in Portland with me, we will be doing that after the stream today. MacB also does have movie night in the supporter Discord tonight, so we'll try not to overlap that too badly, but we will be doing that after the stream today as like a special edition. So I apologize I didn't do it live, and if there's any other shenanigans going on tonight, I mean, I'll be live for a little while, so maybe we'll be able to cover it, but hopefully it's like a quiet night tonight and we can just go back and look at this Portland coverage to figure out what happened. That is my plan there. Anyway, let's get into it, guys. I want to get into the training put on by the National Lawyers Guild. This training was posted 2 years ago on their Vimeo channel, and it is called Know Your Rights for Protesters. And actually, let's go back and read the description of it. This is on their website. Whose streets are streets? A very National Lawyers Guild Know Your Rights training for activists and protesters. Check out Know Your Rights training that is designed to teach activists, community members, legal workers, and professionals, lawyers, and law students how to navigate police interactions during a protest. Panelist Rita, she, they, L. Rhea Thompson Washington is an anti-racist activist, Afro-Latin, non-binary queer feminist, living in the unceded Sama Watanabe Indian name land blessing in Washington, D.C. They have spent the last 20 years organizing and training Black and Latin people working on various campaigns in the labor movement to occupy Wall Street, and more recently providing legal support to the movement for Black lives. Blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. In 2015, Rhea joined the National Lawyers Guild. And so more about her. I don't want to go through her whole bio, but this is the training that we are watching today to get a sense of. You guys probably just didn't see any of that, did you? You didn't. That's all right. That's all right. That is the training that we are watching today, guys. And maybe you did. I don't know. That is the training we are watching today. So we're going to get a direct look into what Antifa's lawyers are telling protesters, and rioters about what their rights are when they're doing their little thing outside of ICE. So it should be a great event. Let's see. We got a super chat. BT, Thank you so much for everything you're doing, Karlyn. I do believe that in opposing the work of the Marxists, you're doing the work of the Lord. You're an inspiration. Hey, I really do appreciate that, BT. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Everyone, please make sure you have mounted the like button for me. Everyone, please make sure you are subscribed to the channel if you are not already. And if you have questions in the chat as we make our way through this training, please let us know. Let's get this party started. How can I make this big? No, that's picture in picture. How do I make this full screen? Vimeo. Hang on. Is there a way to make this full screen? No. There we go. Found it.
Us for NLG's Know Your Rights for
Wait, who did Steven Crowder show? Steven Crowder just showed an Antifa guy you followed? Well, Steven Crowder's behind me. Of course they are. Of course he is. Of course he is. Hey, Gary, thanks for that super chat. I appreciate it.
Protesters. I'm Tracy Yoder from the NLG's national office, and I'm going to start us off just with some information before I turn it over. So you'll see we do have a live captioner here this evening. If you'd like to access those captions, you can click on the CC button at the bottom of your Zoom screen, or Lisa will be dropping a link into the chat where you can...
Wait. Did Steven Crowder actually steal my footage, or are you making that up? He put his watermark behind your footage? Can someone confirm this for me? Phil, okay, Reagan, can you work with Phil and confirm if this was actually my footage, or was this footage that Steven got elsewhere? Because if Steven Crowder actually stole my footage, and there's one presentation in particular of that Antifa professor that I am literally the only person who has that footage. He's crediting Andy No and not me. Can someone please confirm? Because I know of one presentation with that Antifa professor that I am literally the only person that has that footage. And they absolutely could have stolen it by cropping me out of it. Can someone just confirm if Steven Crowder, and I'm asking Reagan, because Reagan I know knows what footage I'm talking about. So can you two talk amongst yourself in the group chat and confirm for me that is actually my footage? Because God, Lord fucking help Steven Crowder if he stole my footage, put his watermark on it, and then gave Andy no credit. Lord help Steven Crowder if he did that. I will go after him 10,000 times harder than I ever went after James Lindsay if that turns out to be the case. I just want to have confirmation that it is the footage that I was the only one that had, because it may not have been the footage that I was the only one that had. Because there's other footage of that Antifa professor that exists that other people, no. You don't tell me to calm down. You don't tell me to calm down ever. You especially don't tell me to calm down when some fucking influencer is potentially Yo! Steven Crowder stole my fucking footage? Hang on. I'm getting into my Twitter account right now, and I'm looking at what you guys are talking about. Oh, you asshole. Oh, you asshole. No. That's my footage. That is my fucking footage. That is my fucking footage. That is my fucking footage. I am the only one on the internet with that fucking footage. The reason I know I'm the only one on the internet with that footage is that they took that video down after I covered it over a year ago. That video no longer exists on YouTube. That video hasn't existed on YouTube in a long ass time because after I covered it over a year ago, they removed that video from the internet. I know exactly what they fucking did. They cropped me out of it to get my footage. Oh my God. Oh my fucking God. Oh my, I'm going to tell you guys exactly where it came from. Hang on. Oh, I'm so pissed right now. I am so fucking pissed. Everyone needs to tag Steven Crowder's ass and tell him to give me credit for my fucking footage because I'm going to show you exactly where that came from. I know exactly what it is. This is my YouTube channel right here. This is where this footage comes from. The cult number 183, Antifa Professor Michael Lodenthal on the far right. I streamed this over a year ago. Over a year ago. May 30th, 2024. Let me show you. This is the footage from my stream. So do you guys know what they did? They cut the footage out of my stream. They literally just took it from my stream and cut it out. This is the only copy of this video that exists on the internet today is my fucking footage, Steven Crowder. This is the only copy of the footage that exists is my footage. And I'm going to prove that to you as well. Let me show you this. Let me show you this. So this is the, what the fuck website was this on? I don't even remember what website this was on, but I'm going to show you guys this video no longer exists on the internet. Hang on. We're going to go into it right here so you can see. Let's get into this video and we are going to be listening. GACS. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys on their YouTube channel. Fuck Steven Crowder. See, guys, this is, you guys want to know, do you guys want to know why most of you have never heard of me? Because this shit happens all the time. Conservative influencers have been stealing my work and stealing my footage for years. Well, I can't do that, Donna, when I'm doing it live on the internet. Oh my fucking God. I am so pissed off right now. Let me just show you. I'm going to confirm for you guys. This video is no longer on their YouTube channel. Hang on. GCAS talks with Prof. Because we were looking for this video the other day. And we couldn't find it. Here it is. So if you search for the title of the video that I was covering, the only thing that comes up is a 30-second clip from the video. This is the only thing that comes up because this YouTube channel took down the footage. They took it down entirely. So if I search for the title of that video, the only thing that comes up is a 30-second clip. Steven Crowder fucking stole my footage. He credited Andy No with this. If Lord fucking, I have been really nice to Andy No, even though he's been lying to his audience. Lord help Andy No if Andy No stole my fucking footage and then sent it to Steven Crowder saying it was his. Then go find the other copy on the internet, Liberty. Then go. Do you have any evidence? Liberty, do you have any evidence that exists somewhere else, or are you just making that shit up? Liberty, I was trying to find this fucking video a week ago, and it was wiped off the internet. So you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, and you're making shit up to cover for your favorite content creator who is stealing my work. Fuck all of these losers. Literally, fuck all of these people. Literally, fuck all of these people. What did Steven Crowder exactly say? Let's see.
And even their tactics. You know, one thing that I think is really...
Where's the footage from, Steven? Where did you get this footage from, Steven?
This organization and this man, Professor Michael Lodenthal, who, by the way, was arrested alongside his Antifa brethren at the January 20th protest when Donald Trump became president. Yeah, there are 200-something arrests. Guess what's not listed as political violence?
What?
And here he is openly discussing that Antifa is an organized group and
No
even their
shit.
tactics.
Something I covered over a year ago, you lazy motherfuckers.
One thing that I think is really misunderstood is that people think that
That's a guy?
anarchists are
Yes.
not organized. Oh, of course, like that's silly. Why would anarchists organize? But like, if you look today, like right now, with thousands of activists,
What?
This is minstrel.
who are resisting like proto-fascist groups, like who do you think organized that?
That's literally as we speak.
That's literally right now, right, as we're filming. I mean, and like myself and many other people, many of whom would identify as anarchists, have been surveilling those groups, those individuals who are arriving to DC to quote unquote stop the steal. We've been surveilling them for weeks, months, and years. And some of them we've been surveilling for decades.
So when people cite to you, there's more right-wing violence than left-wing.
Okay, so there's no evidence that he got that from Andy No. He did not say he got that from Andy No. So right now, I'm going to presume that Andy No is innocent and Steven Crowder and his fucking staff are guilty. I want to know where they got that video. I want to know where they got that footage because like I said, we were scouring the internet looking for that specific video like last week before Steven Crowder ever heard of it. No, it's not, Chris. It is literally provably not. It is, do you have a link? Because you're a mod. Drop the link in the chat of the video that you think is the same one. He chopped it into clips and cropped me out. That's exactly what he did. Okay, let's have a look. Video, Chris, that is not the same video. That is not the same video. Did you even look at what you sent me before you sent it? Because it's literally not even the same video. Not the same one. I know exactly what videos that is from. This is not remotely. I'm going to show you. This is the video that you just sent me because now I have to prove to everyone that this is not the same fucking video. Of course. This is the video that you just sent me. This is not the same fucking video. This is not the same one. He's not even in the same room, bro. He's not in the same room. It is a completely different video. So no, this is the video that Steven Crowder just showed. This is the video. We'll go to him. Look, different room, different jacket. And that is the video that Steven Crowder just fucking showed. And my copy of that video is the only one that exists on the internet because after I covered it over a year ago, they took that video off their YouTube channel. So someone on Steven Crowder's fucking staff found my video, cropped me out of it entirely, and then just pretended that they came across it when they did it. The only reason that Steven Crowder and his staff have access to this video is I covered it over a fucking year ago. I am so goddamn livid at these people. Okay, Liberty, then you need to provide us with a link. Lots of other copies exist. Actually, you know what, Liberty? You know what? You don't need to provide us with anything. Because you're now permanently banned from my channel for being an intellectually dishonest cunt. Do you understand? Permanent ban, intellectually dishonest cunt. We don't allow intellectually dishonest cunts on my channel. See? Yeah, it's on your hard drive? Yeah, okay, you lying fucking whore. God, women shouldn't be allowed to talk on the internet for specifically that reason. How exactly do you want me to watermark it when I'm covering it live on the internet, guys? Do you want me to put a giant watermark over every video that I cover live on the internet just so bullshit conservative influencers don't steal my content? Because do you know what I have to do with my content? Do you know what I have to do? Literally every single fucking time I cover something, look at this video. I have to have my websites. I have to have a watermark over it. I have to have where it came from every single fucking time. I can't just have the video because conservative content creators will fucking steal it. Do you know how much more money Steven Crowder has than I do? How exactly do you want me to... Okay, So you guys can donate the $50 million a year to providing all the production needs I have and a producing staff and all that shit to make sure that every video I cover on this channel is watermarked in real time. Are you ready to donate $50 million a year to me? My God. Do you know why? No. Okay. Shut the fuck up. I do not use OBS, and I don't like OBS, and I'm not going to start using OBS because I have a system that I use. What I need is for people to stop defending content creators who steal from me. If I ever see any of you defending a content creator that steals my shit, ban. And I don't give a fuck how much of a supporter you've been. I really don't care. Thank you, Y Sharp, for the super chat. I really appreciate it. I agree with the sentiment. Not cool. Steven or his team could have at least given me credit. Yeah. Steven and his team could have absolutely given me credit. Yes. I am angry. Okay, one in the chat if you like working for free for other people. Steven Crowder makes how many tens of millions of dollars a year? And I'm expected to work for free for Steven Crowder without even getting credit. I don't even ask to get paid for my shit. What I ask is credit for my work and for content creators to not steal my shit. I am so fucking pissed about this. Unbelievable. Thank you, BT, for the super chat. Unfucking believable. Unfucking believable. His producers found my coverage of it, cropped me out, didn't even bother to give me a credit. Listen, guys, I'm not asking for a lot. I'm really not asking for a lot. I don't think it is too much to ask when a content creator who makes tens of millions of dollars a year takes my work. I don't think it's too much to ask to give me a fucking credit for where he got it from. Because this video doesn't exist anywhere else on the internet, and I know that for an absolute fact. Plagiarism is a serious offense in colleges, guys. Yeah, how many people have conservatives gotten fired from colleges for plagiarizing? Oh, but Steven Crowder steals my work and no one gives a fuck. Of course not. Of course not. Don't steal is a fairly basic thing. The video is not on YouTube. The video got taken off of YouTube. I know that for a fact. I'm so fucking livid right now. I need to calm down because I need to do this National Lawyers Guild thing. I need to actually cover the content that I said I was going to cover because I need to actually watch it. But I am fucking pissed. And guys, by the way, it's not that Steven Crowder doesn't know who I am because he does. Do you know how I know do you know how I know he knows who I am? Because I used to be communicating with whoever runs his Twitter account. And I used to tell whoever runs his Twitter account, hey, I do this undercover work and here's some stuff that maybe you guys would be interested in. And they were like, and they ignored everything I sent them. And then eventually Steven Crowder unfollowed me on Twitter. And all I had ever done was send him my undercover stuff. So I know that he knows who I am. He at least has some semblance of who I am because his account usually literally follow me on Twitter. Thank you. I appreciate that. Pablo, thanks for becoming a member of the channel. I appreciate that. Thou shall not steal. I unsubscribe from Steven Crowder on all platforms. He plagiarized like the commie teachers plagiarize Marx. Listen, guys, I'm not telling anyone to unsubscribe from anyone. I'm not telling anyone what to do. Thank you. You know what, Chris? You meant well. I appreciate you. You know I appreciate you. I'm just giving you a hard time. Thank you, Mr. Gurr, for that. It's just all he had to do was put some note saying, here is where I got it. That's it. That's all he had to do. and I wouldn't be yelling like this, and I wouldn't be pissed off about this. I am not hard to please. I'm an eminently reasonable person, except when you blatantly steal my shit that I found a year and a half before you, motherfucker. Anyway. Well, thank you, Kino, for letting me know that Steven Crowder stole my work. We do have to get back to the National Lawyers Guild, though, guys. We do have to get back to the actual coverage. And I'm going to try to just, like, breathe and focus because I actually do want to watch this presentation and I actually want to learn what they had to say so that Steven Crowder can steal it from me next time. God knows these conservative retards have nothing if they're not stealing content from other people and pretending they were the ones that found it. So I'll do it. I'll find the National Lawyers Guild training from 2 years ago where they're talking to protesters. I'll cover it. I'll show my audience. I'll break it down for everyone over here. And then Steven Crowder can steal it a year from now and pretend that he found it in the first place. Let's go back to something that, God fucking damn it. People keep asking me, Karlyn, why do you get such a hard time from conservatives? Why do conservatives steal my shit all the time? Why have conservatives been hiding my content from their audiences for years? Why have conservatives been lying about me for years and lying about what I've been doing? Why have conservatives spread smear campaign after smear campaign after smear campaign about me? Ask them. Ask them why they continue to steal my shit and pretend they have no idea who I am. Well, I sit here and I do their work fucking for them. So, let's get back to it. And we are watching the Know Your Rights for Protesters presentation from the National Lawyers Guild. And I will do the research that Steven Crowder and his team are too lazy to do. Thank you. Yeah, I do actually have some cider downstairs. I might be drinking some later. Yeah, who needs the left for an enemy when I have conservative retards and thieves?
Access a transcript in a separate browser window. And we're anticipating, well, we've allotted 2 hours tonight for the entire event. We're going to have plenty of time at the end for discussion and questions. So you can go ahead and drop comments and questions in the chat or use the Q&A function, and we will try to get to as many of them as possible. And we will be recording, so we'll send out a
Adam Johnson. I knew an Adam Johnson once. You kind of look like the Adam. Why I did a double take is you look like the Adam Johnson that I knew once. I don't think you're the same person, but I definitely knew an Adam Johnson once. And not to change the subject, I found out I'm going to be a grandpa, trying to spread your happy news. Also, thanks for your hard work, Karlyn. Thank you, Adam. I appreciate that. Congratulations on becoming a grandfather. That's got to feel good, bro.
recording of the training probably next week by email. So feel free to take breaks or sign off early if you need to. This content will be available later. And so we're very excited. We're sharing this new and updated version of our general Know Your Rights for Protesters. And tonight's trainer, Rhea Thompson-Washington, is a longtime NLG Mass Defense member, legal observer, LO coordinator, and trainer. And Rhea is active in both their local chapter as well as the National Mass Defense Steering Committee. And I will drop Rhea's longer bio into the chat so you can see it. And I will turn it over to them to tell us more about today's training.
Thanks, Tracy. As Tracy said, my name is Rhea Thompson-Washington. I use they, she, and ye pronouns. I am a longtime member of the National Lawyers Guild.
No, there is no evidence. What evidence do you have that Andy No researches Antifa by watching the same videos? Do you have any evidence of that? Because that's just not true. That's absolutely not true. And Steven Crowder didn't say he got that video from Andy No. So again, guys, we don't make shit up on this channel. Andy No does not do what I do. He doesn't do what I do in any way. He used to cover Antifa on the ground. He used to research them by being actually on the ground, which is a perfectly valid way to go about doing something. He wrote a great book about that. But Andy No does not do what I do in any way. So please stop making shit up. If you don't have evidence of something, then don't say it.
Hails from the DC chapter, where I'm a member of and a member of the board. I'm also, as Tracy stated, on the Mass Defense Steering Committee, which is one of the caucuses or the committees that helps lead the mass defense work nationally. And I'm also co-chair of the United People of Color Caucus, or as we affectionately call it, TUPOC, which is the space for BIPOC members of the Guild to come and build. I am bringing my greetings to you from
Oh, I need to calm down. I'm so mad that I can barely even listen to this. Sorry they stole your shit, but you at least gained a subscriber. The algo pointed me to this live, so at least you have that going for you. You know, I appreciate that, and I appreciate all the new people being on the channel. And I'm sorry that you guys, I genuinely mean this. I'm sorry that you guys have to see under the hood of how this whole machine actually works. And I'm sorry if anyone is disappointed because you really like Steven Crowder and I just proved he's a thief and a fucking plagiarist. I'm sorry if I disappointed someone today, but I'm sorry. Like it's not my fault that they steal my shit. Conservative influencers have been doing this to me for years. But I genuinely am sorry if people are seeing this type of stuff for the first time. People on my channel are very used to this. Like, and you can ask people that have followed me for a long time. This is not even close to the first time something like this has happened to me. Like, almost every big conservative influencer that you know of has probably stolen my work at some point. And so, like, and people in the chat can corroborate with that. And it's just like, I'm sorry if this is the first time you've seen it, but like, you said he credited Andy No. Well, I didn't see him credit Andy No, so I'm not gonna assume that. But if I find out that Andy No stole that video from me, I'm gonna be pissed. I'll give you some more money to help you calm down. Thank you. It's not the money that's gonna calm me down though. It's just like I just need to sit here and stew for a minute and swear in my head an awful lot, and I will eventually calm down.
Training on unceded land of the Muskogee people in Georgia, just outside of Atlanta. As I mentioned, I joined the Guild as a member of my law student chapter at the University of the District of Columbia, David A. Clark School of Law, shout out. But I want to make sure that you are aware that this information that I'm sharing with you tonight is not legal advice. This is legal information. I am not a lawyer who's like representing anyone. This is information that I want to share with you. I'm a legal worker. As I mentioned, I went to law school and found the Guild and got connected to a bunch of people who helped share this information and teach me about this work. And so I want to share it with you all. The other thing I want to mention is that this training that you're seeing is a brand new training, the updated training that the Guild has. The template is brand new, so this is you all are the first people to get a chance to see it. So shout out to y'all for being on in the breaking news. But this is available for you to use. So if at the end of the training you have communities where you live that you want to use this training for, just reach out to Tracy or Lisa in the national office. They'll be happy to get it to you, and you should use it and modify it for your needs. So, and the last thing I'll say before we get into it is that there are some images, and this discussion is we're going to talk about arrest and police brutality. And so I want folks to be aware of that and take the space that you need as you need to. So let's start quickly with the overview of what we're going to discuss tonight. So the first thing I'm going to do is give you an overview of the limitations of knowing your rights. I'm starting with limitations because you're going to hear a lot of information after that is going to and feel empowering. And so you should know out of the gate when this information is most appropriately used. Then we're going to talk about navigating police interactions. We'll go through preparing for a protest as a protester. We'll talk about navigating an arrest, and then we'll follow up with the debrief and discussion. This is a training, but it is not intended to be a lecture. So please, if you have questions, drop them in the chat. Use the Q&A function so that at the end, we can answer any of the questions that you have. And yeah, we want to make sure that folks feel empowered with this information to use it. So the first question I have for folks is, as we talk about limitations, what comes to mind when we say knowing your rights? So drop in the chat, what are some concerns that you might have? What are you thinking about when you think of knowing your rights and how you use them? And then, yeah, let's just start with dropping in the chat and seeing what that says. So I see that someone says that knowing your rights might escalate a situation with the police, and they hate having their egos questioned and their power questioned. That's so right. Someone else says, is referencing the new RICO charges, what is happening in Atlanta. We see someone saying
Pablo.
that what
Pablo gifted a channel membership. Let's see who got it. Laura Lee got it. No better person than Laura Lee. Congratulations, Laura Lee. People have looked at the website and they say that I'm not on there. And since they purposefully cropped me out of the video, I'm going to have to assume there's a reason that they purposefully cropped me out of the video, because they didn't want to say where they got it. So someone already checked their website. They said it wasn't on there. Maybe they were wrong, but I'm sure someone will go and double check and confirm. Thank you, though. Hang on, we got a super chat. Why Sharp? Check out Gloria Alvarez on how the right needs to be more unified to fight the left, by the way. I look her up, Battle of Ideas. I don't know that listen, Why Sharp? I really appreciate all your support. You are like a good supporter. I don't want to miss you. I don't want to piss you off, bro. I don't want you to leave. But just so you know, I do not believe in unifying with anyone who does not align with my values and my vision. And there's almost no one on the right that I would consider joining forces with. I think most of these people are like garbage human beings, to be really honest with you. There are some good ones, but I don't believe in being united with people that I don't want to unite with. I'm just a woman studying the left on the internet, and I'm putting out there what I know. And if people want to come learn from me, then they can come and learn from me. But like, I'm not unifying with people who I do not align with in terms of values or behavior. But thank you. I'm talking to Harrison Smith on tomorrow or Thursday. Thursday, I'm pretty sure. So I am uniting with Harrison Smith for a half-hour interview on Thursday.
Actions might cause me to get arrested. We're going to talk about that. We know that police don't care about your rights. So yeah, like these are all, these are all important things to keep at the front of your mind when you are preparing to go out for a protest as a protester. And so a lot of you are dropping questions in the chat, and we're going to get to those questions. So thank you for that. The next thing, when we're thinking about limitations, let's like address the actual limitations of being in a protest and interacting with police. So this information that I'm going to share with you, this Know Your Rights, is the best practices, right? It's the best practices for interacting with law enforcement when you're in like the organizing stages or when you're out in the street of a protest. So there's things that you want to consider. You want to assess the risk. You want to make sure that everyone is informed of the risk and they're able to make decisions. And you want to prepare people for what happens when they interact with police. So I want to make a note about disability justice as part of our practice of when we're preparing for protest. Most of the usual best practices that you find in Know Your Rights guides focus on verbal interactions between police and protesters. But if you're deaf or if you're nonverbal or otherwise unable to hear or verbally respond to police questions or orders, you have all of the same rights as everyone else, and you have the legal right to ask for an interpreter. However, police are not required to give you an interpreter in all circumstances, especially if the police officer has determined, right, that or believes that the situation is urgent so that they don't have to honor your wishes for interpretation. There are some advocacy organizations that recommend carrying a card that says that you're deaf and or nonverbal, or staying near a friend who knows how to step in if the cops start attempting to speak to you or attempting to sign to you, and stepping in where possible directly to speak with you. But this does not guarantee your safety. Unfortunately, we know that deaf and nonverbal and other disabled protesters are at a higher risk with few concrete protections. So if you are arrested or detained, you can contact a disability rights focused aid organization such as the Disability Rights Legal Center. But overall, for all protesters, it's important to keep in mind that the limitations to knowing your rights, information when it comes to personal safety.
Hang on. Adam, thank you for the super chat. I left a comment on Steven's video asking him to give you credit. He dropped that video an hour ago. I really do appreciate it, guys. I appreciate everyone that's left him comments. I'm going to be posting the clip of me yelling at the computer. Obviously I have to end the stream before I can create the clip. That's not going to happen until later tonight. So I will be posting that clip. I will be posting it on my YouTube channel. I will be posting it on Twitter. I will be tagging Steven Crowder's ass on Twitter. And I would really appreciate it if everyone could shame him into actually rectifying the situation. Again, I'm not asking for a lot. I'm actually a very easy person to please. They could have just put my name as a credit on that fucking video. That's it. If they had just put my fucking name or my handle as a credit on the video, just in text at the bottom, when they cropped me out of the fucking video, they could have literally just put my name and my YouTube channel on the fucking video, and I would have been happy and I would not have been yelling. But they didn't do any of that. So they can go fuck themselves. I don't ask a lot. I'm an eminently reasonable person until you steal from me.
Especially when it comes to police behavior, and then there's a loftier conversation about the Constitution and various state laws that have guaranteed you certain rights. But just because the law says that you have a right doesn't mean that the police are going to respect it. I'm going to say that again. Just because the law says that you have a certain right does not mean that the police will respect it. That's so important, because when we're out in the field, when we're out in the streets, this information, as much as it is important, as much as it is helpful, again, it's a best practice to use in defense after you have survived the interaction with the police officer. When you're interacting or when you're protesting or having any action with them, asserting your rights doesn't mean that the police are going to change how they're treating you. But however, when you say this out loud, and we're going to practice saying these some of these phrases out loud, it can make it harder for police to use your own statements against you or anything that they might have found on you in a search as evidence against you during a trial. As I said, this is the best practices. So this information could help you later in your court case. And more importantly, it's going to help you protect your fellow activists and organize.
And by the way, guys, I will absolutely be permanently banning anyone that defends Steven Crowder in the course of this video, because if you defend Steven Crowder's actions, then what you're saying is that you are perfectly fine with what you're saying is that you are perfectly fine with people stealing from me. And if you're fine with people stealing from me, that's your business. But you're not going to be on my channel, and you're not going to be allowed in my chat. And that's my decision, because you're in my house. And if you're in my house, then I would prefer that you would, understand that it's not okay to steal from me.
Who you're organizing with. So I want to kind of dig into a little bit more about, what the First Amendment actually is saying to you, right?
Okay,
The
well, she
First
just got put in
Amendment,
a timeout.
I'm going to just read it briefly.
She just got, then I'm sorry I put Devin in a timeout. She literally just got put in a 5-minute timeout, though. And so she'll be back. She can come back. It's fine.
Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or the right of the people to peaceably assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. Like the way that's written, it's like the police could never arrest you for protesting, right? But the reality is that the First Amendment might as well not exist when you're interacting with the police during a protest. It's not like they're holding it sacrosanct, like, oh, you evoked the First Amendment, now I can't, beat you up. No, they're still going to violate it when they think the need for suppressing you outweighs your right to free speech, right? So the courts have also limited free speech in a number of ways. They have coined terms that are unprotected speech that includes topics like fighting words, true threats, material support for terrorism, incitement to unlawful activity, defamation. All of that is legalese to say that your First Amendment right to say whatever it is that you want to say is actually not a thing. And so, we're not going to go too deep in on the First Amendment, but the takeaway is that the First Amendment is not going to protect you in a police encounter. Its only application comes after the fact. It's as a defense to criminal charges or as a claim for civil claim for damages and relief against the state. So in plain language, like this information is super helpful for you, and knowing your rights is important. It's going to be best used when after your interaction with the police, not during, okay? And that's really important for us to remember going through this training, because cops do not care about your First Amendment rights. They just don't. And honestly, the First Amendment is not ideal either, but we do use it to offer support, that we can use it as a tactic to further movement goals. And as I said earlier, this is all great advice. It's great legal information, but the most effective use of this know your rights information is when used by people with privilege. When white, cis people use this information in furtherance or in protection of fellow activists, this is when it's most effective, because we know that police don't.
It's more effective if the white people fight with the police rather than the poor oppressed minorities fight with the police. That's what they're saying. They're saying if you've got this privilege, by the way, this is a reference to systemic racism. So it's not really a reference to skin color, but they don't know that. And so what they're saying is the people who have privilege, the people who are connected to the power structure, you have to put yourself out there to be the people fighting with the police, because the proletariat, the oppressed proletariat, are just, they're put in too much danger. They don't actually mean white people, though. They don't actually mean white people. They mean people who are connected to the power structure, the capitalist power structure. When you hear white privilege, it's actually more like capitalist privilege. It's another example of like the oppressor versus oppressed, where white is the ownership class, the people who didn't have to work in the sun. Black is the oppressed class. So what they're saying is, if you have privilege, if you are connected to the power structure, then it is your job to go fight with the police, because they believe the police are the enforcers of the power structure. The police are the managers of private property, the managers of capital. They believe the police only exist to protect the bourgeois and private property and stuff like that. So that's actually what they're saying. But I understand why people might hear it as skin color. Let's listen again.
Is not ideal either, but we do use it to offer support, that we can use it as a tactic to further movement goals. And as I said earlier, this is all great advice, it's great legal information, but the most effective use of this know your rights information is when used by people with privilege. When white cis people use this information in furtherance or in protection of fellow activists, this is when it's most effective, because we know that police don't view the bodies of oppressed groups like Black people, like women, like trans and gender nonconforming
it's
people.
power.
We
power
always
structure.
have to face the reality of state violence when attempting to invoke our rights, right? So it's important to remember.
So people who are part of oppressed groups are always put in life-threatening danger when they question the power structure of the police. Again, the police being the managers of private property. Devin, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to wrongly put you in a timeout. You're back, girl. You're back. It's all good. Don't worry about it, okay? Listen again. I want to make sure the reason for people who are new, sometimes when we hit these parts of the presentation where we're kind of explaining their ideology, I rewind it a couple times because I want you to hear them using the language in context, and then I want you to hear them understanding what the language means. So this is how you learn to speak the language of the left. It's just like learning how to speak any other foreign language. You have to hear it over and over and over again. And this is part of like the immersion of what I do, where we don't just sit here and watch leftist trainings. We stop, we break it down, we rewind, we listen to it again. We make sure we really deeply understand what they're saying, because part of the problem with conservative influencers is they don't actually understand the definitions that the left is using. They don't actually know what this language means. And I hear this all the time. People are like, Karlyn, I tried to talk to the left. I had no idea what they were saying, or it didn't make any sense. That's because you don't speak the language. It takes time to learn how to speak the language. This is the very best way that I've learned how to teach it. And if you stick around to the channel, we will help you learn how to speak the language. And then one day, and people in the chat can attest to this, one day you're going to wake up and you're going to understand everything these people are saying. And that is the day that your life changes forever. That is the day when you cannot unsee any of this anymore. That is the day when you start to realize that the problem with the left is so much bigger than you thought it was before, because you literally start to see their language show up everywhere in really disturbing places. And you see things that you didn't see before you spoke the language, and you hear things in a different way, and you understand exactly how fucked we are, and you understand why we're fucked. And then it's going to become confusing for you to try to talk to other people who don't understand their language. And eventually you're going to be like, holy shit, I became fluent in leftist. Yes, you learned how to speak leftist. It's a rude awakening when you learn how to speak socialist. You become fluent in it. And then your entire life changes, and you cry a lot, and you get really depressed, and you start smoking weed to deal with the anxiety. And then it's over. And then you have a midlife crisis, and then you become a streamer on the internet teaching people about the far left and going undercover at far leftist events. It's not as though I have experience with this. Anyway, let's continue.
People use this information in furtherance or in protection of fellow activists. This is when it's most effective, because we know that police don't view the bodies of oppressed groups like Black people, like women, like trans and gender nonconforming people. We always have to face the reality of state violence when attempting to invoke our rights, right? So it's important to remember how you show up and how you can utilize this information to support other people. So we're gonna stay here for a bit. So please drop questions and anything in the chat, because this conversation about navigating police interaction is really important. I wanna make sure that folks understand that the United States legal system is not designed to support dissent. We know this, right? We see it happening in Atlanta, right? We know that the United States legal system is not designed to support dissent. Police are meant to, enforce order more than they are to protect us or protect our civil rights. The courts are hard to navigate. Judges are hostile, unfair to people who have ever been arrested, including activists. And so there's going to be, this slide is going to have a lot of information, and there's going to be, some in particular, some important insights and highlights about interacting with police officers.
Hey, thanks, Adam, for the super chat. Come on, folks. She asked us to add comments on Steven's video to give Dr. Karlyn credit for her work. We have class. We have to do our classwork. Listen, I'm not going to tell anyone what to do. I really do mean this. If you want to leave a comment, leave a comment. If you don't want to leave a comment, that's totally fine. If all you want to do is sit here and listen to the left with me and you're like, Karlyn, why are you yelling on the internet? That's fine too. If you want to listen, just chill. If you want to leave a comment, that's cool.
The ultimate goal is to always end interactions as quickly as you can and get away as safely as possible. So when we say we're invoking our rights, you're going to invoke your rights, you're going to assert your rights. It means that you're going to say a couple of these key phrases in green on the screen. We're going to say this out loud, right? So even off, I'm not going to ask anybody to come off of mute, but in your place, when we read these out loud, say them out loud so that you can develop and create the muscle memory of using the language, so that the first time that you say it isn't when you actually need to say it because you're interacting with the police officer. So we're going to say this out loud when we get to those words in green. So you should plainly ask if you are being detained. That's the first thing. The police officer comes up to you and asks you anything. What you should ask them before you answer any questions is, am I free to go? Am I detained? If they say, yes, that you're free to go, or even if they say, no, they're just talking to you or just having a friendly conversation or just asking questions, you do not have to stay in that interaction with the police officer. So let me drill down on that. If a police officer tries to engage you in a casual conversation by saying, oh, I'm just asking you a question, or
am I being detained?
Is just, friendly dialogue, or I'm just asking, or they're trying to appear friendly, you do not have to engage with them. You don't have to answer their questions. You don't have to say anything. You can leave. And that's why you ask them, am I free to go?
Thank you.
Upon
Appreciate
determining
it.
that you are free to go, then you should leave as safely as possible. Don't run, just walk away. You should not agree to be searched, even if you think that, they're not going to find anything to you. And police will do it. They'll try to search you so casually, they'll try to search your person, like what's in your bag, or does that belong to you? They'll ask you about things that they see. They'll also just physically, when they're engaging with you, a police officer, once they have, said, no, you're actually not free to go, I'm detaining you, or I'm talking to you, they're allowed to pat down.
Hang on. No, it doesn't. Just because socialists don't like the police does not mean the police are the good guys. The police can plant drugs on you, bro. The police can do all sorts of underhanded, nefarious shit. She's actually giving really good advice right now, where if you asked, am I being detained, and they don't say shit, you turn around and you walk away. And do not ever trust that the police are going to do the right thing, because they have a long and sordid history of not doing the right thing. So just because socialists don't like the police does not mean that I'm back the blue. And I don't want anyone to get it twisted. I think the police are an organized gang. I just don't like the issue that they have with the police is fundamentally different than the issue I have with the police. And I actually think she's given really good advice right now, and people should listen to it.
The outside of your clothing, whether or not you tell them you're okay with it, but they do need permission to or a search warrant to search beyond just like what they can see on top of your clothing. For those who are not familiar with the language, a search warrant is a written court order that allows police to be able to search specific things in specific places. So if you do not directly say anything that tells police that you don't want to be searched, a judge may interpret your silence meaning that you consented. So what does that mean? It means like, if you don't say, I do not consent to a search, then whether or not you consent to it doesn't, like, it's not relevant, because the police officer is going to tell the judge, like, oh, well, I asked them if I could search them and they didn't say no. And if you don't say no, you're not taking away consent from them. Now, let's be clear, just because you take away consent doesn't mean that they're not going to try to search you. You may say, I don't consent to a search. Hopefully you do. They're likely going to search you anyway. But what it means is that if they happen to find anything on your person that can try to, like, give them an opportunity to give you another charge, or anything that can try to engage you more, that may be thrown out in the court case after. Again, this is not going to happen in real time with the police officer in the moment. This is going to be something that you're going to utilize as your strategy for getting engaging with them in the post interaction. So that's why it's important to say, I do not consent to a search, because consenting means that you're freely agreeing to it. You're using the word consent helps you avoid confusion with the cops, because you're using the same language that they use in court. The other thing to remember is that in the event that you are arrested, and we'll talk about that a little bit more, but if you do end up arrested, you'll be searched as part of the process. So in that moment, it doesn't matter if you say, I don't consent to a search, because at that point you're arrested, you're in custody, they're going to search you. So just be mindful that the I do not consent to search is before you've been arrested or anything like that. And because we know that police are gonna lie, and it is sometimes illegal for you to lie to the police. When you're interacting with police, if they're trying to, like, identify you, and sometimes, police they're gonna do things, they're gonna say things where they're, like, trying to confuse you, right? Where they're gonna, like, they want you to say something and trip you up so that they can accuse you of lying to give them a reason to continue to engage with you. So it can be impossible sometimes, or difficult to know whether or not, you should answer them. So you should err on the side of not saying anything to a police officer outside of, am I free to go, and then leaving, I do not consent to a search. Or if they're asking you if you're being detained and you are being arrested, that's when you would assert that you're going to remain silent and want to speak to a lawyer. So, like, even if you're in a situation where it's not illegal to not say anything to a police officer, lying to a police officer or omitting can create serious issues for you and other people later. So for this reason,
if you get arrested, shut the fuck up. I don't care how much you want to talk. Shut the fuck up. If you are ever arrested or you are ever visited by the FBI and you don't have a lawyer present, I'm giving you sage advice right now. Shut the fuck up like you've never shut the fuck up in your life. Why Sharp, thanks for the super chat. Yeah, that's true. Some cops have no problem standing down watching commies beat the crap out of you if the commie mayor told them to. Listen, man, I was chased by a Black Lives Matter mob literally directly out in front of the Dallas police station in Texas while the police sat there and watched. I was attacked by Black Lives Matter activists. They jumped on my back to try to steal my phone when I was recording them. They stole the phone of another person I was with and broke it. If they had gotten the chance to, they would have kicked the shit out of us. And the police sat there and watched it the whole fucking time, and they did nothing. They did nothing. So the police can straight up go fuck themselves, so far as I'm concerned.
Have been detained again, say the words, I'm going to remain silent and I want to speak to a lawyer. Now, there is one exemption, and again, not to get too deep in the weeds, but in 23 states, if a police officer asks you for your name, you must answer honestly. And that's as of June 2022. I don't know if that has been updated in the last year, but the most recent information that I had is that in 23 states, if a police officer asks you for your name, you must answer honestly. You can't tell them your name is Daffy Duck, right? That is important to know, because again, your goal is to try to get out of the conversation with as little and sharing as little information as possible. So the moment that you get arrested, you have some judgment calls to make, right? At times, it could be helpful to answer information about like your name, your address, date of birth, so that they can identify you, or to ask to use the bathroom or for medical attention, right? Those are times when, if you're arrested, you're going to, engage with the police officers. Outside of those things, you probably don't want to say, or you want to say as little as possible. And all of these things are things that police know, or the request about your safety and your bodily dignity, if you need to speak to them about those things. But right after you do, like right after you say whatever it is I need to say, I need to go to the bathroom, right after they, take you to the bathroom, or don't take you to the bathroom, as it may be, then you're going to re-invoke your rights, right? Because like invoking your rights, think of it as like a cloak, right? And so when you put the cloak on, the police officers are not supposed to talk to you. It doesn't mean that they won't talk to you, but they're not supposed to talk to you. And so once you have cloaked yourself and I'm going to remain silent, I want to speak to a lawyer, keep that cloak on as long as possible until you actually speak to an attorney. Again, if they continue to ask you anything, you can just say, I'm going to remain silent. I want to speak to a lawyer, no matter what they say. And they're going to try to like say a bunch of things. They're going to tell you, oh, I can make this go away or whatever. They're going to say whatever it is to try to get you to divulge any information about the action that you're attending. So it is best for yourself. It's best for the movement. It's best for all folks involved if you just don't talk to police unless you're with an attorney. So in the rest of the training, I'm gonna go into more detail about what to keep in mind and other interactions. But if you do need help organizing your local actions, you can reach out to your local NLG chapter to see if they can do a training or a Q&A before the action. You also want to reach out to your legal aid or advocacy organizations to think about whether you're doing an action that is going to allow where people are going to get arrested. And if you think that there's an opportunity or a chance that people are going to be interacting with police, you certainly want to have legal observers at your protest. You certainly want to make sure that you have.
Oh, shit. I didn't mean to do that. I really didn't mean to do what I just did, but we'll get back to that. Hang on. We'll get back to that. More importantly, I have just posted a tweet that I would like all of you to go reply to and tag Steven Crowder in, because wouldn't you know it? And this is actually just a coincidence. Wouldn't you know it? But 8 hours ago, I wonder where this clip possibly going to come from. 8 hours ago, Reagan, who runs the Marxist Clips account, posted this clip of me covering that Michael Lodenthal lecture literally 8 hours ago on Twitter. As you can see in this clip, this has the date, this has all the information about the stream that this was on. The reason we put the information on the stream, on the videos, is because we actually do want people to go back and find the full stream. We always want you guys to have access to the full and complete content. We never want, like I believe that all of you should be able to see every single thing that I see. So when we post clips like this, we tell you where the original source material was so that you could go back and look at it relatively easily without having to dig through things. Reagan posted this clip to the account earlier today. I wonder how it ended up on Steven Crowder's show. Golly I wonder how that happened. What a fucking coincidence. Anyway, I just posted this and I said, and I'll put the link in the chat again if people want to retweet this or tag this or anything else. I just posted this on Twitter and I said, I wonder where Steven Crowder got this clip he showed today on his show, because my original stream from a year and a half ago is the only copy of this interview. It was taken off the channel after I covered it. It was taken off their channel after I covered it. Yeah. Isn't that a coincidence that it was posted on the internet 8 hours ago? And now it is on Steven Crowder's show. I wonder where him or his producers found it. I wonder how that happened, especially since that interview no longer exists on the internet, except for on my stream, because they took that interview down after I covered it. How funny. How funny. Anyway, I didn't mean to get this whole presentation screwed up.
If you recall earlier, I said when you're
Is this
in
2 hours long?
custody,
Oh shit, we
and
might not do that
normally
Portland
doesn't
stream
happen
tonight.
until after you've been like
Hang on.
impossible sometimes.
We went through that. We went through
the
that.
training. So in the rest of the training, I'm gonna go into more detail about what to keep in mind and other
Now it's not letting me full screen again. Hang on. I have to reload it because it's not letting me do full screen. I hate Vimeo. Now the full screen will be back. Okay.
are able to be followed by
I'm
an
gonna
attorney through
postpone
the
that
system,
Portland
and you can usually do
stream
that
for an
with your
hour that I
local,
wanted to do.
chapter. So only lawyers can give legal advice, but legal workers like myself and experienced activists have a lot of knowledge about the common practices of your local law. So don't forget to reach out to those folks. And if you want to know if you're in one of those stop and identify states where you have to provide your information, let me know and I can get you that information after the training. So let's talk about some common police tactics. We're talking about them, right? So police will say all kinds of things to get you to divulge information. They're going to use leading questions. They'll say something that seems, innocent. Oh, like I come to this protest every year. That's a familiar one that police like to say in DC about the Dyke March. Oh, I come to this every year. It's like, I'm not going to tell you what our route is. It doesn't matter, right? So police are going to use leading or seemingly innocent questions about things that appear to be unrelated to your arrest or the movement to get you to say something. This is why you have to keep that cloak of I'm going to remain silent on. Sometimes when we get nervous, we overtalk, right? Or we have an innate ability to want to cooperate because we've been told since our youth that police are supposed to help us. The police will help protect us. And so you're going to want to tamp that down. But sometimes nervousness gets the best of us. So you might unintentionally say something that the police will use against you later. And they will use it against you or your comrade later. The read technique is something that we often hear of as good cop, bad cop, but I would posit that in my 43 years of living, I ain't never been a good cop. But that aside, the read
and again, listen, I did not hear Steven Crowder credit Andy No. Maybe I should have watched longer. But God help Andy No if he stole that video from me and sent it to Crowder. God help Andy No if he does that. Because I've been pretty nice, I think, to Andy No, because I do actually have a lot of respect for him. I have a lot of respect for the work he's done. But I also know that he's a gay man, and gay men can be petty bitches. And it wouldn't surprise me if Andy No would overtly steal my stuff just to piss me off because I've called him out for lying about Trantifa. Even though I feel like I've been extremely respectful of Andy No's work because I do actually think a lot of it is very good. Yeah, gays would never. Yeah, exactly. Gays would never be petty bitches when they're upset at someone on the internet, as I know Andy No is upset with me. So, Lord help him though. If I find out that Steven Crowder credited Andy No for that video, it's fucking war, motherfucker. And I don't actually want to go to war with Andy No, but I will go to war with Andy No if he's doing shit like that.
Technique is the strategy that police officers use to try to believe you that,
to try to
get you to believe that.
Thank you. That's good
confessing
news.
is in your best interest, right? And the good cop cares about you, and the bad cop wants to beat you up, and all of these other things. It's the Law and Order method, like what we see on TV, right? An officer who's playing a bad cop may first argue that you are guilty, and then present some theory of the crime, and then ignore you when you say you didn't do it. Another officer is going to tell you that they understand why you did what you're saying that you did, try to convince you, to go along, tell them we'll make it easy on you. You can go home today. But when you're being held by the police, any statement, every statement, any statement you make to people who are police can be used against you. And sometimes the statements that you make to people who are not police, meaning other comrades who maybe don't know this information or didn't take this training, and those folks may talk to police, and so the police may come back to you and say, oh, well, your friend told me X, Y, and Z, trying to get you to talk. Again, you are covered in the cloak of, I want to speak to a lawyer. When you're acting with police, assume that everything that you are doing is being recorded. When you're in the police station, whether you're out in the streets, wherever you are, assume that whatever is being recorded. Cops also, they have audio and video on their uniforms in the cop car and in the jail cells. So it presumably could be all recorded. In addition, all telephone calls are recorded. So in the event that you are arrested, you're not going to say anything like when you get to the jail and you make a phone call the jail support or call.
Okay, I have something to say about this because we've been watching this and I haven't really commented on this other than to say don't trust the cops ever. But I have something I want to say about this training specifically. I'm moving on from the Crowder shit. We are moving on. We have to focus. I'm saying this for myself as much as I'm saying it for you guys. I want you to notice the extent that the left goes through to protect their activists. The right doesn't do anything like this because the right doesn't actually protest. The right doesn't organize. The right doesn't do anything like this. Yes, stealing Karlyn's hard work. How dare they? Yes, exactly. Thank you. But the left, I mean, this isn't even the only organization like this. Like I said, when you are in okay, so for example, at the Columbia University encampment in 2024, and this was probably happening this past year too, but definitely in 2024, they actually had a group of people. I think they were, I forget exactly what they called them. It was like Red something. They actually had a group of people that they took aside to train them how to get arrested. And people signed up for this and they taught them everything they need to know and all that stuff. The left does stuff like this all the time where they will take you aside if you are a person that is like doing activism, and they're going to teach you, here are the things you need to know if you have to interact with the cops, if this happens, if that happens, if that other thing happens. Do you want to know why the people at January 6th were so easy to trick by the feds? And by the way, they now know that there were like over 200 feds in the crowd that day. Like, fuck off, FBI, honestly. But like, imagine if conservatives or the right had anything like this. Do you think that January 6th would have been as much of a shit show as it was if the right provided the same information to their people as the left provides to theirs? This is why the left is so emboldened at protests, guys, because they have all this information. They have been very well taken care of. They've been very well trained. That is why the left is has no problem going out and acting like hooligans at protests to try to push public perception in a certain direction. Our side doesn't do anything like this.
Whatever attorney legal space, don't talk about the action. Don't ask who else got arrested. Don't do any of that. Just speak specifically about your wellness and letting folks know that you're okay, or if you're not okay, so that they can support that. The safest thing to do is not answer any questions and instead say, this is where you're going to say it with me, I am going to remain silent and I want to speak to a lawyer. You know, people believe that police are supposed to read you the Miranda warning, the Miranda rights in order for an arrest to be valid, because that's what we've learned on TV. But the truth is that it's just not the case. They likely won't even read the Miranda warning to you until long after you've been, arrested in jail or like for a while. And so they only need to read you that like when you're in custody, and that normally doesn't happen until after you've been like gone through the booking process. The other thing is that it is legal for police to lie to you. It is legal for police officers to lie, to trick you into sharing information, to get you to confess to a crime. It is legal. Common lies told by the police include, I have evidence of something that you care about. I can make a deal for you. Like, let me get you out of this. Somebody else confessed and they said that you did it. Police are going to lie about everything. They're going to lie about anything. And the reason that they're going to lie is because they only want you to tell on yourself or tell on your comrades. And so
comrades,
don't for one moment or 1 second think that police officers
we stand
telling
Veli
you the
on this
truth about
channel,
anything.
guys. Everyone make sure you're subscribed to Veli Ray. He does some of the best coverage of Portland. He's kicking Antifa's ass in Portland. We love Veli on this channel. Thanks for dropping by, bro. Appreciate it.
And that's why in this slide, in case you missed it, like lying is the thing that police do most. And so look at this language, think about it, and remember that most of what police are saying to you is probably a lie. They're going to do things like misstate the penalties or overstate the penalties for a crime, like, oh, you know, jaywalking, you're going to jail for 10 years, you know. They say things like that to try to get you to be afraid of them. They'll say that you'll be prosecuted more harshly, that, oh, they'll charge you with obstructing justice if you don't answer their questions. And my favorite, we'll just get a search warrant. And my response to them is, get a warrant. So police are going to do, you know, they're going to say all kinds of things. They're going to try to, you know, threaten you into thinking that it is in your best interest to share information with them. The moral of the story is the best thing to say police is nothing at all. But if you have to say something to police, then say, I'm going to remain silent. I want to speak to a lawyer. And yeah, if there's any questions about that, we can go over that more. But just remember, the best thing to say is nothing at all. So
should I send Veli an I'll send Veli an Antifa shirt. Veli, if you let me know how to get in touch with you, I'll send you a great t-shirt to wear next time you go see Antifa. You'll love it. I don't know exactly how to get in touch with them, but maybe we can figure that out.
Let's say that you're about to start organizing a protest, now having heard this information.
Do you know why Reagan's telling me to do this, though? Do you secretly know why Reagan's telling me to do this? Because I owe Reagan merch from my store from like months and months and months ago, and I swear to God, I actually have a constant reminder on my phone to do the merch, and I keep saying, I'll do it, and then I don't do it. And I really do owe Reagan a whole bunch of merch, and Reagan's going to get even more merch as an extra surprise than even what she asked me for, because I've been delaying and dragging my feet on this for so long, just because I haven't wanted to deal with my merch. And so Reagan's like, why don't you send merch to someone else, Karlyn? That's okay. I know. It's fine. I know. Okay, I know.
What are some security measures you would take? What concerns do you have? And let's talk about it. Go ahead and drop some of those in the chat, and I will lift them up. Some folks. So, oh, I see some good comments in the chat. I love that y'all are sharing information with each other. That's dope.
All right.
Yes, that is important, Brandy. Take Face ID off your phone. I'm gonna talk about that.
Oh,
but
take
yes, that
Face
is so
ID off your
important.
phone.
What else do you think about? What other security measures do you take when you're organizing a protest? Oh yes, we love our street medics. Street medics keep us safe. So what else? Yep. Yeah. There's also the turning off of fingerprints. The same thing as Face ID. We're gonna talk about that. Designated drivers, important. Yeah, they're super important. And we'll get into some of these things that make it like we should be considering when we're talking about safety at a protest. Let's just go. So the main thing that I want to emphasize about protest preparation is that you are not going to be able to prepare for everything possible. And that's it. You're not going to be able to prepare for everything. However, what you can do is make sure that people who are coming to the protest are informed about the risk.
I do. Okay.
If you are intending to do a direct action that may lead to arrest,
I have books for a lot of people.
Tell the people who are coming, there may be direct action or civil disobedience. Give people warnings when they arrive, like, this is a red action. This is, we are intending people are going to be getting arrested, so that people can make decisions when warnings are given, or as action starts to get busy, people can make that choice about whether and how to show up. And the first off is thinking about the risk when it comes to the locations. Where are you? Are you in a space that it's easy for police to kettle you? Are you in a place where it's easy for police lines to advance on you? Is there a space that you can get away? Are there exits? What are the critical infrastructure laws? Do you need a permit? Do you need a permit for your march or your action? And conversely, if you're having an action without a permit, what are the risks that are going to happen or occur to that? Choosing to hold a permanent event is a political choice that's up to the organizers. If getting a permit is important to you, permits are for protests are normally given out by local government. You can just check their website and get that. Most cities can, sometimes cities require a fee, but you can often get that waived. And the other thing is that most local governments are going to want to know ahead of time if it's a free speech event. And that's because they're going to want to have police there. So again, you're going to have.
I want to say this. this has nothing to do with this video, but like I just keep getting comments on my channel to this effect, and so I want to speak to it directly. I keep getting comments on my channel like, Karlyn, have you sent this to the FBI? And my answer to those people is, why on earth would you expect me to do the FBI's job for them? If the FBI wants this information, they are welcome to avail themselves of my YouTube streams. They're welcome to go find it themselves, or they are welcome to go to decodetheleft.com and get in touch with me and hire me to do their job for them and to send them this information. Because I'll tell you what, there ain't no way that I'm working for the FBI for free. If they want the information, they can come and find it on my YouTube channel, or they can hire me and pay me money to send it to them proactively. But unless one of those things happens, I'm just sitting here doing my thing, and it's not my fault that I'm a better researcher than the FBI.
Prepare for that. Again, conversely, if the protest is in response to breaking news, it just happens immediately, make sure that you let folks know that, spontaneous protests also are unpermitted free speech events. You shouldn't need a permit to protest on sidewalks or in the streets in most locations, but I will say it's important to know the laws in your local area. There are, I think the number is up to 37 states that have criminalized protest in some way. If you recall earlier, I said the U.S. legal system they don't want us to dissent, right? And now there's literally laws on the books that are making it illegal for us to protest, for us to dissent. So make sure you know what the local governments require for protest. If you're going to take to the street, whether you need a permit,
Belly and I
sidewalk,
are spirit
like,
animals.
all of those things should go into preparing for protest and making sure that you are safe. The other thing is that sometimes some police departments will give an order to disperse. And for example, in DC, where I live, when police, before they make arrests, they usually give 2 orders to disperse before the third one, where they begin to make arrests. And so it's like, it gives people the opportunity to say, they're going to stay after the order to disperse, or they're going to leave. But if you hear those, or if you know that that's something that happens in your locality, it's important to let people who are showing up to be in the streets with you know that, so they can make a decision about whether they want to stay after that, order to disperse or that order to leave, or whether they want to push through with getting arrested or escalating as the tactic may be. Sometimes when you don't have a permit, especially if you, as I mentioned before, are in those like marginalized bodies where we know police don't care about us. So if you are, non-binary, if you're gender non-conforming, if you're queer, if you're women, if you're all of those groups outside of hegemony, then like it may be that that could be its own other risk. So it's something to consider. For example, the other thing is that there are some states that have like also created laws about people who get hurt at protests and how that goes back on the organizers. So like in Iowa, they passed a law that will protect a driver who kills a protester in a protest that didn't have a permit. Florida has passed a law that allows local authorities to make the organizer of a protest without a permit pay the cost of designating and enforcing the zone.
Good.
So it's important to, check your locality. And again, these laws are always changing. So if you would like more information about what your state law is, let me know after in the chat during the Q&A, and I will get you the website where you can track the protest law tracker. And then certain locations have like just higher risk, right? Are you protesting at the state capitol? Are you protesting in a busy intersection? Like it matters. So depending on where you are, you want to account for that. Some other considerations for protesters that we don't talk about enough, right? Like when you're masking up. Before the pandemic, it used to be illegal to protest within masks in many places. You weren't allowed to cover your face. So in some ways, we have, like being able to mask is not only a safety consideration, but it's a consideration to just protect your anonymity or your who you are.
Okay, so I want you just to know what she just said. She said, and this is in the context of protesting, She said, wearing a mask is both a safety consideration and it is also to protect your identity. She's saying it as two different things because the reason the left still wears masks, and they do, this was 2 years ago, but they do still wear masks at their events, like to this day. I had to mask when I was undercover with Antifa 2 weeks ago. They still wear masks at their event because they still believe the pandemic is a real thing. And they believe it is part of their obligation as good comrades in solidarity with the community for everyone to wear masks so that you are keeping the environment safe for people who have compromised immune systems and things like that. So it's an aspect of community care or community love. That is the safety aspect. In this context specifically, she's also saying it, or you can also protect your identity. But what I want people to understand is the left wears masks in their private spaces where they're not actually trying to protect their identity. I was at a book reading in New York, again, like when I was undercover, with a really famous socialist author. Actually, I saw do you guys remember the In Defense of Looting book? So I saw the trans person who wrote that book speak in New York, and I should have a recording of it. I haven't even gotten a chance to look yet. She got real fat, by the way. She got really fat. But they were wearing masks at that event. So you got this famous author that everyone in the room knows about and I have pictures of it. They were wearing masks at the event, not to protect their identity, but because they believe it's part of their obligation to the community, because everyone knew who they were. It's not that was in question, but they did it for the safety aspect. So I just want to make sure people understand that if you might be new.
We have being able to mask is not only a safety consideration, but it's a consideration to just protect your anonymity or your who you are. And we want folks to remind themselves of your tattoos being visible, and then also what happens to your life when you get arrested, when you are making the decision, who's going to water your plants, who's going to walk your dog, do you have family or people who depend on you? So we want folks to take all of those different things into consideration when they're planning a protest. And something else to think about coordinating, when you're playing, if you are having a protest that has an amplified sound or music, those also you need to know what the law is in your location about amplified noise. I recall there was a group in 2021 it was 2022, just after the Roe decision, who were protesting at the Supreme Court justices' houses. And I was doing a training with them and talking about how the police in that locality of Montgomery County, Maryland, were disallowing sounds louder than a clap. So a group of people clapping. And so, just thinking about what are the limitations or what considerations do you need to make when you are preparing for a protest. And speaking of security and digital security, as was mentioned when we had a brief little discussion about it, making sure your phone is password protected is key. It is a way to protect you. It is a way to protect your comrades. I can't say it enough. When you have facial recognition, when you're organizing a protest, it's just worth thinking about what you don't want the government to have, right? And let's say you get arrested, right? Let's say the police arrest everybody in the section around where you are. It has not been determined that it's that it's illegal for police to use your biometric data to open your phone. Meaning they can confiscate your phone, and while you are, being held, hold it up to your face and open it. Or use your fingerprint that they're going to collect to open it. And so
it's all really good advice.
We live in our phones, right? Our phones are tiny computers that we carry around with us. So, even when you're thinking about going to a protest, consider, do I really need my phone? Now, a lot of times we're,
okay, I'm just gonna fast forward a little bit after this section because I think that they're preparing for your protest on your person. Let's just listen to this. Let's listen a little bit of this section.
Using digital encryption does not protect against physical surveillance, right? Such as infiltration, CCTV, law enforcement surveillance, or someone who's just cooperating with law enforcement. So we have a lot of tools about digital security, and I'm happy to share. And so along with this training for folks who want to do it in person. So, okay, let's talk about what not to bring to a protest. Generally, it depends on the level of risk, right? But I would say don't bring anything to a protest that you're not prepared to lose, right? So I'm not going to be wearing my wedding ring to a to a protest oftentimes. I don't want it to get damaged or, lost or taken by the police. I wouldn't bring anything that you don't want to be arrested with. And this is key because in some places, like depending on your locality, maybe it's legal to smoke weed and you think, oh, I can bring this joint so that after this protest, I can do whatever. That actually puts everyone in the protest in jeopardy because it's still it's not clear federally, right? And so if you happen to be searched, found with drugs that are still illegal federally, that can result in additional charges, that can result in the police, ratcheting up the escalation against people. Excuse me. So don't bring anything that you don't want a police officer or cops not to see, including don't bring any documents about planning the action or the protest, right? Don't bring anything like what the route of the march or who the names of the participants or anything that is private or intimate. Excuse me. If you have any like medication that you need to take, just bring the amount that you will need in the original prescription bottle. And the reason that is because what we don't want is you, for example, to be prescribed just pulling out of the air like Xanax, and the police officer pats you down, finds Xanax open in your pocket, and accuses you of having illegal drugs that you actually have a prescription for. So make sure you try to keep it, again, just the amount that you need in the bottle, and then be mindful that if you're arrested, the police are not going to give you your anxiety medicine. They actually don't care about, if you're having anxiety or anything like that.
True,
so
actually.
If you have to have
medication, fast forwarding. The reason I'm fast forwarding is she's actually giving a lot of really good advice. Unfortunately, I can't use good advice against them. And so I'm trying to find out, is there any section in this presentation in which she kind of slipped up and did not give advice that maybe she wants repeated on the internet? That's all.
As I mentioned, and we talked about what are limitations.
Creating a safety arrest plan.
What folks should do. Now let's talk about creating an arrest safety plan. Hopefully you have a protest, you go to a protest, you don't get arrested. This is not something that you need to utilize. But in the event that, things ratchet up, things get escalated, you should have an arrest safety plan. So we encourage folks to plan in advance. Or if you're going to high risk protest or you're worried about getting arrested, like for example, you're going to, Stop Cop City action, you want to make an arrest plan because you don't know what's going to happen, right? So if you're worried about getting arrested, reach out to your friends or a family member who is going to be available to be on call while you're protesting. Your family or trusted person.
That's kind of like, okay, it's a little bit indirect, but I wanted to make sure people understand. So that's the National Lawyers Guild specifically advising people that are doing this Stop Cop City thing in Atlanta, which is like an anarchist insurrection against the police in Atlanta. I haven't covered it a lot, but it's kind of like this is an extremely far left move to protect those people specifically.
Person is not going to the protest with you, because if you and your trusted person get arrested, who is going to be there to support you? So what you should tell the trusted people about your safety plan is that you're going out, what the time is, like what's going on, give them any pertinent.
Yeah, actually, for a long time, I was uploading the transcripts into my AI to train it on socialist. So my AI is actually very trained on like socialist language and things like that. So you're right. Like we and this is actually a really good point, especially for like newer people that, I'm hearing from so many people that you want to do something about the left. AI is our friend. AI can help us make connections that we wouldn't otherwise make. AI can help us do an astronomical amount of research on the left. My book writing has been cranked up because AI is so fucking amazing, and it can help us do so many things. And so I want to encourage people, get to learn how to use AI, learn to prompt. You have to do this just because it's the smart thing to do. And I know a lot of people have grievances against AI, but like AI is inevitable. You cannot stop it. It is too amazing. It has too many, it is more advanced than we as human beings will ever hope to be. And so the very best we can do is just like learn how to use it to our advantage. And I have used AI for all sorts of projects related to the left, and I think it's an absolute godsend.
Relevant information they should need. You can let them know of any like jail supports or bail funds. Let them know to reach out to your local NLG chapter if they're not already queued in. And just, yeah, give them your, like, they should have your date of birth, your ID, any medical needs, anything that they can do, copy of your keys. And that's also the person that you're going to make a plan with. I need my plants watered. I need my dog walked. Can you pick up my kids? Whatever it is, that's the person. And then again, that person should also have the legal support arrest hotline or bail hotline so that they can follow up. Now, the other piece about phone numbers is, in the past, we have, and I say we, I mean, the space and protest, we've always encouraged folks to write the jail support hotline on their body in marker. And but we also know that act has been recently criminalized, right? And so
Really?
It's a judgment thing, right? What you could do is you could memorize, or you could write your trusted person's phone number on your body if you don't have it memorized, and have them call the jail support hotline to let them know, so that way you can call them and they reach out to them. That could happen. Or you can memorize the jail support hotline and maybe not write it on your body. You can also write it on your body, whatever is easiest for you. But just keep in mind that act of trying to protect yourself and trying to make sure that somebody knows what is going on with you is being criminalized in some jurisdictions. So that's why we ask the organizers to consider whether they want to have like a pre-arrest form where people who are knowingly going to participate in civil disobedience or direct action complete it with all their information. And
this is what I'm talking about, that they train them to get arrested. People who are knowingly going to participate in civil disobedience or direct action. Direct action is destroying things and setting things on fire and breaking things and creating all sorts of commotion and chaos. So I want people to hear this again.
That's why we ask the organizers to consider whether they want to have like a pre-arrest form where people who are knowingly going to participate in civil disobedience or direct action complete it with all their information. And then that way we have it ahead of time versus having an arrest safety plan that happens after the fact. It's a personal judgment call, but it could be that the state might say, oh, creating an arrest safety plan, filling out a form is evidence that you're intending to engage in unlawful conduct. So all of these things have to be layered about what makes you feel comfortable, what does safety for you look like, and maybe it's safer just to have a standing emergency plan with that single trusted person rather than any pre-arrest or jail support forms. But it's really
hang on. Adam says, how can we search for live streams for you? I don't really know, Adam. I don't listen. I guess like what do you mean specifically by this? Like live streams for what? Like you can search my live streams on my YouTube channel. Just go to the search function on the YouTube channel and you can search my live streams. But are you saying search for different live streams? Like, are you saying search for socialist live streams to watch? I mean, the best way to search for like leftist streams to watch, and you guys, by the way, you're always welcome to send me stuff. Send me stuff in DMs on Twitter or DMs on Substack. I'm trying to I'm going to be getting a Discord up. Well, actually, I already have a Discord. I'm going to be opening the Discord up for more people to be able to like create a place where people can go and like do this stuff. I just haven't gotten to it yet. But for right now, DM me on Twitter or DM me on Substack. And so if you're looking for socialist or leftist trainings to watch or events to watch, literally just target the organizations or target the activists. So if you have a specific leftist organization, just go to their website, look for their events calendar, get on their email list. I'm on 10,000 leftist email lists. It's crazy. Go to Eventbrite. Eventbrite can be a very good place to find stuff. Go to event websites. Go to however you find events for anything else. You can look up activists. If activists are doing a book tour or something, oftentimes the book tour will be live streamed on the socialist YouTube channel or whatever. Revolutionary bookstores and socialist book publishers often have live streams. So like there is a ton of content out there on the internet, guys. There is a metric ton of leftist content. We will never be able to watch all of it here. And You know, a lot of people in my community are extra crazy in that they watch a lot of this content in their spare time just for fun. And then they tell me if they find something really good, but they actually just go and watch it in real and like to kind of like screen it or whatever, or just because. And so maybe do that.
Decision that should be left up to the organizers and the participants about how you want to keep yourself safe. So solidarity is our first line of defense. And like, so the reason, you know, I want this reminder in this moment is because we have to not forget that we protest because we know that we can win, right? We get in the streets because we know that solidarity is strength. And so people who show up to protest who have more privilege have a responsibility to use it wisely to protect marginalized lives and bodies. It doesn't mean you need to throw yourself on anybody or in front of anybody, but it does mean that you need to show up in solidarity with the most vulnerable people at protests. So let's talk about some of those folks. I alluded to this earlier about talking about keeping a disability framework when you're planning the protest. So what about people who are participating in the protest who are disabled? So folks, things we need to consider, like what if you're not able to stand during the entire protest? If you need a break or somewhere to sit down, be mindful that there is a sit-lie ordinance that could prevent people from sitting or lying down on a street or sidewalk. Like that may be something that is the law in your jurisdiction. So folks should be aware of those types of ordinances, because not only are they extremely ableist, but it's important to consider when you have people who are disabled and they're protesting with you, right? And how the police are going to use those ordinances to apply them to folks to get people out of the streets, right? So you can bring a wheelchair or a chair assisted device, but police officers are not going to like care about your equipment, right? And so police are they might even try to take it away from you to get you in a vulnerable space to be able to coerce or enforce you to engage with.
I would pay money. I know there was a person protesting in a wheelchair outside of the Portland Ice facility. I would pay money to see a police officer or a National Guard member go over to that Antifa person in the wheelchair at the Portland protest and just pick up the wheelchair and dump their asses out of it, and then cops surround them and then like arrest them on the spot, but they've got to dump them out of the wheelchair first. That's like priority number one. Yeah, the topless person. Yeah, I want to see someone go over and dump her ass out of the wheelchair on the ground and then arrest her ass. And by the way, she was probably faking it anyway. She probably didn't even need that wheelchair. So then she can go walk her topless ass over to the police car after they dump her out of the wheelchair. That would be like my dream. That would be amazing.
So, you know, we answer questions like, what is your right to use the bathroom? And I would say that for the most part, it is illegal. It is legal for private businesses to tell members of the public that they can't use the bathroom. However, there are some states that have Restroom Access Act for people with medical conditions, right? And so that's going to be something you need to consider when you're out in the streets. Like, where is it that people are going to be able to utilize the restroom? And also,
told you, Belly, you and I understand each other, okay?
That, police try to target, like people who are going to use the restroom or who need other accommodations and resources, such as mobility aids or medical equipment or emotional support animals, right? So when we're thinking about making space, we need to take all of this into consideration if there are going to be people at the protest who are disabled. As I mentioned before about access to medication, making sure that you have the right amount available, and being minded that you're not going to have access to the medication if you're arrested, even if you bring it with you. Now, one option is for the safety plan, your trusted person to bring the medication to you when you're released, but because they can be sued, police don't typically like give out medication. As a matter of fact, one time I was in police custody and having anxiety, and they gave me a NyQuil.
It's not a bad solution. Knock your ass out.
I don't know if you know much, but about anxiety, NyQuil didn't exactly mitigate that. It didn't make me go to sleep, which I guess helped, but whatever. So, you know, just consider they're not going to give you like medication for the most part. They will take you to the hospital. But again, that can prolong the length of time that you are in police custody. If you are attending a protest with a high risk of arrest, standard advice is, again, not to bring anything that you don't want to lose. You may not be able to attend without your mobility aid or service animal or medical equipment, so you want to consider that.
Breaking news.
Consider,
breaking news. I have a DM from Steven Crowder's Twitter account. Hi, Karlyn. This is Lane, Steven's producer. We've been doing a lot of background into Lodenthal, and to be honest, I forget the exact path that led us to that video. Fantastic work, and definitely did not mean to not attribute your work. I'll certainly give you full attribution now on X, and will be happy to help amplify your good work in the future. So, we won victory over Steven Crowder's content theft. We won. They lost. And you know what? Listen, I do actually have to give them credit. You always give credit. Yeah, guilty, Steven Crowder, guilty. But you always have to give credit where credit is due. And the fact that they owned up to it this quickly, and the fact that it seems that they are taking steps to rectify it, actually is a really good and positive thing. And I appreciate them I very much appreciate them doing the right thing. I very much appreciate it. Listen, we don't know exactly what happened. We know for a fact that my video is the only current source of that particular interview on the internet. So we know someone found my video and cropped me out of it and then just pretended they discovered it on their own. We know that for sure. We don't know if that person was an intern. We don't know if that person is like a young, stupid producer who thought they were being smart and thought they would never get caught. We don't know, okay? And so the fact that they're admitting it and they're going to rectify it, and they did it very quickly, that makes me very happy. And I do appreciate them doing that. And I will be communicating with them to that effect. But I'm still posting that clip. I am still posting the clip of me yelling, and at the end of the clip, I will post this section indicating that Steven Crowder's show ultimately did the right thing. We would have preferred that they did the right thing the first time without us having to yell at them on the internet, but they eventually came through and did the right thing, and I'm impressed, and I appreciate them doing the right thing, and now we can all move on, and hopefully in the future, I'll be able to send them stuff, and they will use it, and they will actually give me credit for my work. That'd be pretty great.
Like how, whether or not to risk losing or engaging those accommodations. Yeah, and so because, protests can be unpredictable.
Well, I don't know about that, but I guess we'll see.
It's
Thank you, though.
The possibility of arrest can arise at any moment. The possibility of police violence is always imminent. And the inaccessibility that standing or walking may pose just doesn't always make it the best or the safest place. So when you're thinking about communications, make sure that you are thinking about interpreters, thinking about where is the nearest bathroom, what is the closest transit station, what is the best exit. People need to know how to get away if they need to get away. And so if you need more resources, happy to share them. Let's talk about if you are protesting as a trans person or a gender nonconforming person. And when it comes to interacting with law enforcement, you if they try to ID you, first you're going to ask if you're free to go. If you've determined that you are not free to go, you should, as pre-step when you're planning, know about the police department policies. Know if they're going to send somebody from a gay and lesbian unit or LGBTQIA+ unit. Some police departments have those, right? And sometimes they have policies about interacting with trans and gender nonconforming people. So you want to know that ahead of time. The other thing you want to do is consult with queer advocacy groups or find you a queer competent attorney who might be able to be on call for that action or that protest. Because you don't want to have what you don't want is to not consider it and have police arrest people and put them in holding places that do not align with their gender identity, right? And so again, it's extremely useful to have somebody who just is aware of those laws that affect queer and trans people and protesters in particular. And so make sure that's a consideration that you have when you're planning a protest. If you don't have such folks in your area, another group to reach out to is FemLaw. and it's just like this FEMME law. There is that they're an organization who can provide and facilitate.
And guess what? Steven Crowder's account is now following me again on Twitter after they unfollowed me a while ago. But you know what? I'll even give them the follow back.
Facilitate connections to
protesting as a trans person
caucus of the guild that you can reach out to. So make
this
sure
is just
you
getting
are,
better and better,
considering the safety of everyone. The other thing is, like, there's no legal requirement that gender markers on your various documents are all the same, but that could create administrative problems that could work against you. So as much as possible, and recognizing the limitations.
What? Is this day just getting better? Andy No released an interview an hour ago admitting he made up the term Trantifa. Did I just win again? Did I just win again with a different influencer within the span of like 10 minutes? Did I literally just, can someone confirm that? Thank you, Andy, for being honest about the fact that you made up the term Trantifa and it's not a real term.
Try to make sure that photo identification is as up to date as possible. Even if you can't change the gender marker, you can retake the photo for your ID. If you've changed your name, it may be helpful to carry a copy of your name change documentation, maybe a picture of it. In some states, you can be charged with impersonating another person or providing false information. So, for example, if a police officer asks you what your name is and you give them the name that you use, not the name that is on your legal documents, they're going to say, they might try to accuse you of lying to them, right? And so these, it's not going to be something that's going to be necessarily prosecuted, but it may be a way to get you in jail to try to get you to talk about whatever is happening. And so, it's just mindful that it's really traumatic to be criminally charged. And sometimes it's going to be times when it feels like just trying to explain your gender may be a safer choice, but also, just be mindful about what it is that makes you feel the most safe and empowered.
Real,
and
thank
do that.
you.
It is entirely up to you. And as new anti-trans laws are passed in different cities and states, it can be helpful to stay up to date on the laws about the area that you're protesting in, so you can protect the folks and yourself, but also knowing whether or not you or your loved ones are at risk.
Okay, breaking news. Let's see what Andy Knows said, because Reagan just posted the clip. Let's see what he actually said.
Revolution in it, this agenda of violent left-wing revolution for trans rights matches enough. There's some overlap with some of the Antifa agenda. So this sort of merging of the two ideologies, I've come up with the term, I call it Trantifa, that it's the two concentric circles have so much overlap.
Andy, that is so fucking ridiculous. These ideologies merged in the 70s, bro. Okay, yes, he is admitting that he made up the term Trantifa, and that is a positive thing. Andy No made up the term Trantifa, but for Andy No to actually be trying to sell to people, these ideologies just merged. This trans ideology and the Antifa ideology, they just merged, and I just invented this term to describe this new phenomenon. Andy? They merged in the 70s with Stonewall and the Gay Liberation Front, and it actually started happening before that. So it did not just happen. It happened in it happened really before that. We can look at Compton's Cafeteria Riot in 1966. You can look at Stonewall in 1969. Stonewall was the start of the Gay Liberation Movement. That's when the Gay Liberation Front was created. That is when all of this shit started merging. You started having this bubble up in punk communities in San Francisco and New York in the 70s and into the 80s. In 80s, you had the ACT UP movement. The ACT UP movement was the first real queer liberation movement. I'm literally writing a book about this right now for people who are wondering how I know all this off the top of my head. Moving into the 90s, in 1990, you had Queers Read This, which was the first kind of like big pronunciation and manifesto of queer Marxism. 1990, Andy. 1990. And by the way, it's not even a trans agenda. Andy isn't even using the proper term. It's not a trans agenda. It is a queer agenda, which are two different things. You do not need to be trans to be queer. You do not need to be gay to be queer. Queer is a far left political ideology, and that is what he's talking about. And this has been going on for decades. So congrats on admitting you made up the term, bro. But you still don't know the history. And by the way, the reason that Andy No doesn't know the history is because he never looked at the information that I sent him several times. It's not that Andy No didn't have access to this information. Andy No has had direct access to this information from me because I was trying to teach him this behind the scenes, privately, where no one had to know, because all I wanted was for Andy No to properly inform his audience of what was going on. That was all I wanted. I didn't even want credit in this case. And I've showed the DMs, and I will always, I have the DMs that I can show if I ever need to prove this. I try, people, so many people have been talking to me lately about they're like, Karlyn, why don't you work with Andy No? 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 I fucking tried. I sent Andy No all this information privately. He didn't have to credit me. All I wanted was for him to properly inform the public of what was going on and what was happening. He had direct access to all of this literally months ago. Literally months ago. Okay? He didn't want to listen. He didn't look at it. He didn't even respond to it. And then he starts Trantifa, a term he made up that isn't even fucking real.
And this agenda of violent left-wing revolution for trans rights matches enough. There's some overlap with some of the Antifa agenda. So this sort of merging of the two ideologies, I've come up with the term, I call it Trantifa, that it's the two concentric circles have so much overlap now that it's almost one movement.
No,
and I saw that 5 years ago in the
5 years ago?
data set.
5
People
years
might
ago.
remember I was
Really?
releasing
Because
all
it's
these
been happening
mugshots.
since
Took
the
a lot of work. So I was
70s.
doing public records requests for every individual
5
one.
years
There were
ago.
hundreds.
Please,
just in Portland.
Andy,
And then I would look
please.
into the backgrounds, and I found that up to 30% on any given night of a riot where there were dozens of arrestees, that the individuals were somehow gender diverse.
Andy still hasn't caught up. You know what? Dare to dream. Maybe he will someday. However, breaking news from Steven Crowder's Twitter account. Listen, man. Again, I will always give credit where credit is due. Shout out to Karlyn for the awesome work she's doing. Today we talked about the myth that the right is more violent than the left and how the entire false premise is based off of data collected by self-professed Antifa, Dr. Michael Lodenthal, which I covered a year and a half ago. One of the clips we ran of Lodenthal was only archived because of my work, and we want to make sure she gets the credit where it's due. Holy shit. That's actually a really nice apology. That's actually a really nice apology. That's actually a really, really nice apology. That is far more than I ever thought that they would do. Check out our page for more. And look, they didn't even retweet me. They retweeted Reagan. They didn't even retweet me. They retweeted Reagan. Reagan W. Reagan W. Reagan W. W me. W Reagan. W every single person who commented telling them to credit my work. We all won today, ladies and gentlemen. We all won today. Yeah, I actually, again, I did not expect them to give this nice of an apology. So thank you to Steven Crowder. Thank you to his team for crediting my work. I really appreciate it, man. I take back at least half of the mean things I said about you. And I will probably be a lot calmer if this ever happens again. And I really do. Oh, man. What a day. What a day. Okay, listen, guys. This stream didn't go like I thought it was going to go at all. We only got through half of the stuff I wanted to watch. I was yelling and screaming. And I just think I think it's best to end the stream here. We got through what we got through. We got some good stuff from that. I got some good clips from that training, but it was a little boring if I'm honest about it. Gothic, thank you for the super sticker. But I want to tell you guys, okay, couple things happening tonight. So the number one thing that's happening tonight is, of course, there will be a movie night in my supporter Discord at 9 p.m. or thereabouts. How you get access to my supporter Discord is you go over to my Substack, Karlyn, KARLYN.substack.com. You go to the chat and you follow the Discord link that I put in the chat yesterday, and you join the supporter Discord where MacB hosts a movie night every Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern time. Okay? And so that's how you can do that. And I think they're doing the Stand Part 3 tonight. Ohio Rizzler, thank you. Awesome stream as always. Well, don't go anywhere, guys, if you want to stick around, because... Where is it? Because I'm actually going to start another stream. And the reason I'm going to start another stream is I didn't get to watch the coverage from Portland last night. And I would like to watch the coverage from Portland from last night. So it's going to be a little bit of a repeat for people who watched the coverage yesterday. You're welcome to come and hang out. I'm going to be watching the coverage of Honey Badger Mom, and I'm going to be watching the coverage of some people I actually know on the ground in Portland, okay? And so, but I also want to say, I want to be fully supportive of MacB's movie night, and I want to encourage everyone, if you want to go to MacB's movie night to watch The Stand, which I think that's what you guys are watching tonight, please do that. Please do not skip movie night with MacB just to come hang out and watch a repeat of protest coverage with me, okay? Please do that, because I want to support his movie night. I don't like to do overlapping streams, but I really actually just do need to watch this coverage. Like, I need to do it for myself to know what happened. And so I'm basically doing a research stream, and I thought we were going to start earlier, and we didn't because everything went awry, okay? Yeah, I know this, and I adore Honey Badger Mom. She's a great lady, man. She's like one of the nicest people, and she is so brave. I want to watch her footage. There's some other footage I want to watch as well. But but this is not live footage. This is not breaking news. It's from last night. So I want to encourage everyone to go to MacB's movie night. I don't want to take anyone away from that, because you guys can always catch up on the Portland stuff another day. You don't need to be here live for that, okay? Or you can do both. You could conceivably do both. In fact, you could do both. Simona, we're here for you. We look up to you. We support you. We love you, Karlyn. I love you guys. Thank you. Thank you. So what I'm going to be doing is is the quartering actually crying in the comments? Seriously? Is that, fuck the quartering, whatever. Fuck him right in the ass. So I'm going to be shutting down this stream. I'm just going to take a minute break. I can't believe that was such a nice apology from Steven Crowder's team. Honestly. I'm going to take a little break. I will be back very soon, and we'll do protest coverage, and we'll hang out. Okay? Thank you guys for spending some time with me, and I will see you on the other side. And actually, let me just put the stream in the chat. So if you guys want to join the other stream, here you go. Here you go. It'll be on Rumble as well for people over there. But there is the link to the stream, so you guys can go and join, and I will be starting up over there shortly, and I'll see you guys on the other side. Take care. We'll see you soon. Bye.
How are you feeling? How long have you been here?
3 months, May 17th.
And what brought you?
That's difficult to answer.
I'm not clear. How is it that playing the piano for people has eventually resulted in your being here in the hospital?
That's difficult to answer.